everybody, with your resounding applause, let me welcome the very first panelist. For this panel discussion, we have Professor Kishore Basa, Chairman, National Monument Authority. Can we have, sir, on the stage, please? Renowned anthropologist Professor Kishore Kumar Basa brings over 4 decades of expertise in archaeological, anthropology and museum studies. Formerly the director of the Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya, Bhopal, India's largest anthropological museum, and the Indian Museum, Kolkata, he currently chairs the Indian National Confederation, an academy of anthropologists, INCAA, with extensive academic content handloom at the Handloom Textiles and Handicrafts Department, Government of Odisha. Prior to his current roles, he served as a director of the National Institute of Fashion Technology, NIFT, in both Bhubaneswar and Kolkata. His tenure at NIFT reflects a dedication to nurturing talent in the field of fashion and design education. We welcome you, sir. Can we have a round of applause for sir? Next, let me take this privilege to call upon a very eminent actor, one who needs no introduction in the field of Indian cinema. I request Nawazuddin Siddiqui, actor, Indian film industry, to please be here on the stage. Mr. Nawazuddin Siddiqui is an Indian actor well known for his performances in the Hindi cinema. Widely recognized for his roles in movies like Gangs of Wasipur, The Lunchbox, Raman Raghav 2.0 and Manto, he has been a part of 8 films showcased at the prestigious Cannes Film Festival. Mr. Siddiqui has won numerous awards, including a National Film Award, a Filmfare Award, and 2 Filmfare OTT Awards. We welcome you, sir. Come on, everybody, can we have a round of applause? Now it is time to call upon the moderator for this panel discussion, Soumya Kulshrestha, writer, poet, educator, public speaker, and communication specialist. Soumya Kulshrestha has passionately promoted poetry as an art that everyone can grasp and connect with across various workshops, classes, and events. She has actively participated in numerous literary and cultural festivals, serving as a curator, speaker, and moderator. She is also a voice-over artist who has worked with several brands and is multi-talented individual who not only teaches communications to students, but also assist agencies in crafting communication and brand strategies. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the panelist for the very first panel discussion. And I want all of you to please bring some energy, because this is not how Odisha welcomes us. Come on, can we have a round of applause? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now over to Soumya.
Thank you so much. And I will agree with, what's your name, ma'am? I will agree with Rimjim. Let's have a round of applause for Rimjim also for hosting this stage, holding this stage together. And Odisha can do better than this. Give me the loudest applause you can. This is as loud as you can get. Okay. My name is Soumya, and I also take the privilege of welcoming all of you to the International Crafts Summit Jajpur 2.0. I was here the last year. And what I witnessed was a spectacular celebration of everything associated with arts, everything associated with crafts, whatever words could come in your mind when you think of the craft ecosystem of Odisha, of the country, of the globe. Every word was mentioned on this stage right here. And to see this summit in its 2nd edition taking off even more beautifully is a personal point of pride. And I have with me 3 extremely experienced, eminent panelists who represent a wide domain, a diverse domain of topics when it comes to arts, when it comes to crafts, when it comes to performances, when it comes to so many things. And I would like to begin this panel discussion, this plenary, this opening act for ICSJ by fielding a question to Shri Sovan Krishna Sahu. Sir, you are our representative from Odisha on this particular panel. And sir is the director textiles, director handloom, director sericulture, and he's worn many hats in his wide career that spans so much work that I couldn't possibly put it out in front of you. But I know that he has been significantly involved in setting up a lot of textile mills, not just in Odisha, but across the country. in setting up of textile mills was an important part of your work, not just in Odisha, but across the country. But for us, if you could contextualize the craft and culture ecosystem of Odisha, keeping in mind especially the textile heritage and the industry of this stage, I think that's a great point to start this conversation with. Shovan sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Soumya, for a crispy question, but which requires an elaborate answer. But perhaps I am required to converge it to only 5 to 6 minutes, perhaps. So let me tell you, Odisha has a beautiful base. It is a strong base for textiles, especially handloom. We have 9 geographical indicators for handloom. We have 3 geographical indicators registered for handicrafts. Starting from Konark stone carving to Pipili applique to Raghurajpur Pattachitra. There have been 3 beautiful crafts which have been internationally acclaimed. At the same time, 9 handloom products like Odisha Ikat, Sambalpuri Vanda, then Bomkai, then this particular place which is Gopalpur Tasar, then Kalahandi's Habaspuri, then Koraput's Kotpad. So these all 9 beautiful handloom products which encompass the entire tradition of Odishan architecture, Odishan. Even the architecture gets reflected into all these sarees, all these stone carving, all these pipili applique and all that. So that with that strong base in tradition, we have moved to also modernity. We saw that there is a requirement of also a yarn for the handloom weavers. So the government of government of Odisha has now started a beautiful textile policy which has been enrolled by the government of Odisha. And it has given ample opportunities for the international investors, for the national investors to invest in this particular state. And across the states, if you compare all the textile policy, what Odisha has done, perhaps is the best one. And that is why we are now, for the last 1 year, we have got around 13 textile mills who have really shown their interest in putting up their textile mills here. So this particular yarn, or the fabric what they are going to make, that will also cater to the needs of these handloom weavers, these powerloom weaving units, and mostly handloom weaver base, we have around 1,66,000 weaver base. And you will be surprised to know all these weavers, mostly they were working on natural dyes earlier. Now synthetic dye has come up as per the modernized era. But that particular synthetic dye, natural dye, these all synthesis is being done by both the weavers, both western side, both eastern side of Odisha. Everybody is engaged in that. So to my view, the government of Odisha has given a beautiful textile policy, has gone much into sericulture, has gone much into handloom side, and it has created really a very beautiful base for all the generations to come to further develop it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for setting the base for this session, sir. I also want to request the audience that in case there are questions in your mind, please keep them ready, because I will try to create about a 10-15 minute segment towards the end of this panel, wherein you can field your questions to us. अब मैं अगला सवाल पूछना चाहूंगी प्रोफेसर किशोर बासा से, who is the Director General of the National Monument Authority. But मुझे जो मजा आया सर से बात करने में, वो more than monuments, it was on developing a creative understanding of crafts itself. Sir comes from academia also. Sir is an anthropologist. So sir से जिस topic पर मैं engage करना चाहूंगी, वो topic है कि crafts आपके लिए symbolize क्या करते हैं एक society में, एक community में, एक country में, और आपके जो अपने creative conservation efforts हैं towards both living heritage, built heritage, उनका अगर आप एक छोटा सा overview हमारी audience के लिए हमारे लिए दें, it will be lovely to hear from you, Kishore sir.
Oh, thank you very much, Soumya ji. Before I answer your question, let me say a couple of words about Odisha, because I come from Odisha. First of all, you know, one of the names for Odisha is Utkala. Now, Utkala is defined as Utkarsa Kalar Desa. See, the very name of Utkala symbolizes the celebration of craft traditions, various craft traditions. So, you know, it represents the finity, the fineness, the dexterity, the creativity of craft traditions. So Utkala represents, therefore the name Utkala stands for excellence in art and crafts. That is number one. Number two, this just for the benefit of the audience who are outside Odisha or other parts of the world. When you are talking of different cultural traditions, one has to understand in a sort of geographical point of view. Like the Deccan, Odisha represents the breeze between the North India and the South India. Therefore, the cultural aspects, the creativity of cultural aspects of Odisha is a unique combination of North India and South India. Yet, it is not a replica, neither of the North India, north of the South. It's a creative synthesis of creative engagement, creative product of the best of the North and the best of the South India. Now, that is the uniqueness of Odishan art and craft traditions. Now, I thought that one should make that kind of preliminary statement when you are having an international craft summit in Jaspur in Odisha. So, I must congratulate the organizers for taking craft to a global level. Because when we talk of craft, we are concerned that craft is a local factor. It represents a local culture. But taking this local culture to a global panorama, I think that shows the kind of confidence of India as a nation in 21st century. Now, that one has to understand. It is not just celebration of art and craft. It is just not celebration of creativity. It is also a symbol and cynosure of the emergence of India as a confident nation in the global scenario. One has to understand that. Now, with this kind of general statements, let me come back to your question. You see, when we talk of craft or art tradition, craft traditions, what are its basic importance? What are the basic message that we think of? First is craft, first of all, symbolizes celebration of cultural diversity of this country. Second, craft also symbolizes the identity of a community. Third, craft also symbolizes the question of one's sort of the livelihood. Craft is also linked with livelihood. So therefore, you see, craft, that one has to try to understand the celebration of craft in a Western sense and in our country. For example, when we talk of industrial evolution led to the manufacturing of goods at a very cheaper rate. From that point of view, the quality of life was enhanced. Yes, that was a plus point of industrial evolution. But one of the negative aspects of industrial revolution, for which the West is lamenting now, is the destruction of craft traditions. India is a country in 21st century even, it combines both the bullock cart tradition as well as the spacecraft. I don't think any other country in the world combines both bullock cart and the spacecraft. Now that is a challenge India has managed even in 21st century. Now having said that, we have to understand that craft traditions are also facing a tremendous crisis. For example, in my front, the very celebrated Dr. Sudarshan Sahu is here, the very internationally known sculptor. If you go to his studio in Bhubaneswar, you will see the creativity in action. But ask him, how difficult for him to get the stones, how difficult for him to maintain the artisans, because it is one thing to celebrate them in a summit like here, but we should not forget the crisis they are facing, and therefore I think a summit like this makes us conscious of the fact the challenges our artisans are facing, and therefore I think when we are taking this craft tradition from a local level to the global panorama, we should not forget the fundamental need of the craftsmen of this country, because without them, I think we cannot take our local tradition to a global level.
Absolutely, absolutely. What a wonderful opening dialogue. I think it merits an applause also, because Kishore sir took us in so many different planes, and which weren't also even in my mind as as a question I want to field to you, but I have so many follow-up questions for you, Kishore sir, now, and I will come back to you. अब जाते हैं नवाज सर के पास. नवाज सर, आप खुद एक आर्टिस्ट हैं. आप खुद एक आर्टिस्ट हैं. आपका एक क्राफ्ट है जो आप प्रैक्टिस करते हैं. हम एक आर्टिस्ट के तौर पे, क्रिएटिव पर्सन के तौर पे, हम में से कितने लोग हैं जो आपको बहुत आदर से देखते हैं, बहुत सम्मान से देखते हैं, बहुत कुछ सीखने की कोशिश करते हैं. हम ये भी जानते हैं कि आप भी एक छोटी जगह से आते हैं. बुढ़ाना मेरे ख्याल से उस गांव का नाम है जहां से आप आते हैं. आपने अपने आसपास क्राफ्ट्स के बारे में, आर्टिस्ट के बारे में, वो कैसे पलते हैं, बढ़ते हैं, किस तरह क्राफ्ट्स हमारे समाज का हिस्सा हैं, इसके बारे में आपकी क्या समझ है, और क्राफ्ट की दुनिया से आपका अगर कोई राब्ता है तो उस पर थोड़ी सी चर्चा हमसे करें.
जैसे कि आपने बोला कि क्राफ्ट से आपका क्या संबंध है, आई थिंक जितना भी अगर कोई एक्टर, कहते हैं ना जब ग्रेट एक्टर कोई होता है तो वो एक तरह से क्राफ्ट्समैन ही होता है. बिना क्राफ्ट के आप कोई भी कैरेक्टर कर ही नहीं सकते. तो क्राफ्ट्स का इतना वैल्यू होता है एक आर्टिस्ट की लाइफ में. और मुझे लगता है कि आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट में कोई ज़्यादा फ़र्क है नहीं, एक्सेप्ट जो एक इमोशन होता है. आर्टिस्ट एक इमोशन की अभिव्यक्ति करता है, और जो शिल्पकार है, जो क्राफ्ट्समैन है, उसका मूर्त रूप जो है आपके सामने रख देता है. सिर्फ इतना फ़र्क है. तो ऑफ कोर्स मेरा शुरू से रहा है, क्योंकि हमने जो माइथोलॉजी में जो किताबें पढ़ी, जिन पे हमारा फेथ है, या जो भी हमने देखा, वो कहीं ना कहीं क्राफ्ट्समैन के थ्रू ही हमने चीज़ें देखी. तो वो हर आदमी, मेरे ही गांव में नहीं, दुनिया का हर आदमी, हिंदुस्तान का हर आदमी उससे अछूता नहीं है. अगर आप अपने घर में कोई भी मूर्ति रखते हैं जिस पे आपका फेथ होता है, वो भी क्राफ्ट्समैन के हाथों से तैयार की हुई होती है. इवन या जो भी हम नॉवल, किताबें, माइथोलॉजिकल किताबें पढ़ते हैं, वो भी किसी आर्टिस्ट ने लिखी होती है. तो हमारा फेथ, हमारा बिलीफ उन्हीं आर्टिस्टों की वजह से आज जो भी कुछ है. हमने इसमें भगवान भी गढ़े हैं, हमने उसमें आर्टिस्ट भी गढ़े हैं. आर्टिस्टों के नॉवल पे, बुक्स पे हमारा फेथ होता है. चाहे वो रामायण हो, चाहे वो महाभारत हो, है ना. और चाहे कोई, अब बुद्धा की स्टेचू, जब मैं फेस ही अगर हम अपने घर पे रखते हो तो हमें एक सुकून सा महसूस होता है. तो वो भी किसी शिल्पकार ने ही बनाया होता है. तो हमारा सब कुछ जो है क्राफ्ट्समैन के थ्रू ही है, या आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट की वजह से ही है, अगर देखा जाए.
क्या बात है. थैंक यू नवाज सर. इतनी सुंदर तरह से आपने ये बात समझाई कि आर्ट और क्राफ्ट की दुनिया से कोई भी अछूता नहीं है. जो आप प्रत्यक्ष देख रहे हैं, जिन चीज़ों में अपना फेथ बना रहे हैं, वो किसी आर्टिस्ट की ज़बान से, किसी शिल्पकार की इमेजिनेशन से ही हम तक पहुंचा है. शोभन सर, on this note, I would like to come back to you. And aside from textile, sericulture is also, in fact, textile से भी जुड़ा हुआ ये सवाल है. करुणा सिल्क के बारे में रिसेंटली हमने बहुत सुना, और उस पर आपने स्पेसिफिकली बहुत काम किया है. उड़ीसा में बहुत काम हो रहा है. For a lot of people here come from the crafts ecosystem, textile ecosystem, so you may know about it, but a person like me, who's completely untouched, someone who's coming here to immerse, absorb and learn, can you help me understand what is Karuna Silk and what are the various initiatives that are happening around it in the state? मुझे बस ये समझ में आया करुणा नाम से कि ये शायद एक एथिकल, एम्पैथेटिक वैरायटी ऑफ सिल्क है या प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस है. इसके बारे में आप कुछ और समझाएं.
Since most of the audience belong to fashion world and textile world, they may be knowing a beautiful name called Coco Chanel. Coco Chanel is one of the famous French designer. She died in 1971, and it is there is a beautiful quote. The quote is, "True generosity is acceptance of ingratitude." अगर किसी को दान दे रहे हो तो प्रतिदान का आशा मत करो. So the story of Karuna started from that ingratitude to gratitude. Why I would say is, हर एक सिल्क साड़ी में कम से कम 10 से 15,000 सिल्क वर्म को जब पीपा स्टेज में मार दिया जाता है. And most of these silkworms will be put in the boiling hot water and there will be mass killing. And before they becoming future mothers by laying eggs to the extent of 200. Or even the father cocoons, they will become beautiful butterflies. Before that, they will be killed. And at the cost of this life, we are getting the glamour of fashion. So that is why we started this kind of जो सिल्क वार्म ने हमको सिल्क दिया और हम उसको मार रहे हैं, that kind of ingratitude he has accepted. So he has shown himself to be truly generous. But what we have done to that teeny creature, and which is going to have a full of its life, but we are killing in between. So we started that production process by adopting the French and German technology, but keeping our tradition intact. Because Khandua Patav, what we started with the production of this particular non-violent silk, that Khandua Pata is offered to the Lord Jagannath, has been offered already during last Rath Yatra and onwards. What has happened is that Khandua Pata, we kept the tradition by putting it into the handloom process, but at the same time, the yarn has to be in the non-violent process through European technology, and so the synthesis of both tradition and trend has been merged. So that is why this particular silk has been now widely acclaimed. We are getting orders from various religious institutions like Tirupati and other parts of Mathura, Vrindavan, and etc. However, the process is yet to stabilize. We are yet to have a mass production, but somehow the second piloting is going on, and we have already got a success in that. Lord Jagannath is getting the Khandua Pata of around 88 meters every day. And that particular 88 meters, do you know how many silkworms are getting killed? Earlier it was, it is estimated to be around 80,000 to 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs even. In case of mulberry, it will be higher. In case of tussar, it will be lower. In case of muga, it will be very high. So that kind of a mass killing was going on, and we have arrested that particular process. Now we are trying to produce a kind of cruelty-free silk, which is called Karuna. Karuna means compassion. So if you see about compassion, see the kind of empathy we should have. A particular, supposing you are in a Second World War concentration camp, and you are being treated as a refugee, and inside that you are being thrown with the white phosphorus, and each of your body parts is falling down, and your consciousness is still looking at it and seeing that this kind of devastation is going on in your body, what kind of pain you have. Similar thing is happening with this particular teeny creature, and that teeny creature is getting boiled, and there will be oblings. And it is in the state of pupa to, not in the larva stage, pupa to moth stage. That means it is about to be a full-grown butterfly, where all its body parts are getting transformed. There is a metamorphosis. And in that particular process, what will happen? You are putting a hot water, steam is coming out, and it will have all kinds of pain inside it. So that kind of empathy, if you feel what concentration camp refugees were facing, that same empathy we have, then only we can think of the kind of pain it is undergoing. It is also a creature. If you touch it, I am yet to touch it because I still feel the kind of pain it will have. If you touch it, the entire stomach will have at least 200 eggs, which will be fertilized the next day. Before that day, we are going to kill it. So it is very soft, and the kind of pain the agony of experience, you can easily imagine. That is how the philosophy behind going for Karuna Silk, and Honorable Chief Minister's office has already given a go-ahead to go for a mass production, and the entire Department of Sericulture of Government of Odisha is obliged to the Government of Odisha, saying that this kind of spinning process, which will adopt non-violent means, cruelty-free means, which will be one of its kind in the international scenario. That is going to be set up very soon. And I would request that everybody should think of it before going to wear a silk dress, putting it on your fabric, as I said, at the cost of lives of somebody. Thank you.
Absolutely. And what a wonderful way to also understand that while we preserve our tradition, innovation and technology can actually come to our aid to lead to better, even more humane and compassionate outcomes. You want to say something?
Yeah, let me tell you what kind of tradition we have also maintained. Those 15 handlooms have been selected weavers. We had selected weavers from Rautpada, a village near to this Khordha district. And your Jajpur has given me the final product after those woven fabrics getting calendared in a particular village called Gopalpur. And that calendaring machine was already provided 25 years back. We are getting the best of luster compared to any violent silk. And that magic was done here in your district, in this Jajpur district. So what I am saying is, the particular Khandua Pata which has been made out of it, out of this non-violent silk, has been inscribed with a beautiful sloka. That sloka is part of this Gita Govinda. Gita Govinda is written by 1250s poet Jayadev. And that sloka is suppose Kansari api sansara vasana baddha sunkharam Radha madhaya hridaya tatyaj brajasundari. रास लीला में भगवान ने बुलाया सबको बांसुरी बजा के and immediately he became अंतर्ध्यान. जब सारे गोपी गोपांगनाएं वहां पे पहुंचे, that time he got vanished. And how he vanished? By keeping Radharani in his heart, and he left the place. But after a beautiful prayer, he again came back. Those slokas have to be inscribed through tie and dye method on the Khandua Pata of 88 meters, and that will be the attire of Lord Jagannath.
Wow.
That is still going on, and hopefully we will be making this continuous supply of raw material to the Lord.
Absolutely, absolutely. Beautifully explained that how traditions continue to live in a country like India. And I think that is the note on which Chauvin sir, you know that I'm going to come to you. Chauvin sir has worked on this beautiful project called the Manav Sangrahalaya. And one wonders that museums are for dead things. Museums are not for living things. But through conversations with sir, I understood that the understanding of museums as in our tradition and the understanding of museums in the Western tradition is very, very, very different. So museums as a creative way to conserve both living and dead traditions is what I would like to request you to reflect on now.
Am I audible? Yeah. You see, museum is a colonial construct in case of Indian context. Although museum as a cultural institution is a colonial construct, but museum-like institutions were there in India. For example, this Chitrasala. For example, we have the concept of Chitrasala. If you see our medieval temples, there are so many descriptions of not merely of common lifestyle, the equipment, apart from the celebration of, let us say, the deities, the common men also, men and women, and their daily life also are portrayed in various museums, so in various temples. But then museum, as I said, like archaeology, like anthropology, museum studies came as a colonial construct. But I always argue, and I have published also, that although the concept of museum is a colonial construct, the response of the colonial people is sometimes very typical. Let me give you an example. Even now, you know, I was director of Indian Museum Kolkata, and also I was director Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya Bhopal. Now, even in Kolkata today, during this part, this December, January months, people from rural Bengal come to Calcutta. And they will take bath in Ganga, and they will visit different places in Calcutta. One of them is Ramakrishnan, this is the Dakshina Kali, and then Ramakrishna Math. And one definite place is what they call Jadughar, that is Indian Museum. So, and this, therefore, museum visit as a part of pilgrimage is a typical Indian cultural response to a Western metropolitan concept called museum. So therefore what I'm saying is, although the Western metropolitan concepts have been introduced into India, it is just not a replica in terms of response. India has very uniquely responded to those concepts, and one such is that I said museum visit as a part of pilgrimage is a typical Indian cultural response, which is continuing even now. Now, when you come to, let us say, in a place like Indian Museum, you know, we have archaeology sections where you get into the best of the craft traditions of antiquity preserved there. But when you come to a museum like Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya Bhopal, it's a different kind of museum. It's basically an open-air museum. We have a museum building like other places, but Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya is characterized, National Museum of Humankind is characterized by its open-air display. And these open-air displays are in terms of different ecological context of this country. Let's say we have got coastal village, we have got desert village, we have got what we call tribal habitat. And the idea is, in a, let's say, in an area which is called tribal habitat, about 30 habitats from different parts of the country. Let us say from Odisha, the Gadava tribal habitat is there. So there the idea is the community is a typical aspect of museum making. Usually in a museum, what happens? It is the curator who decides what objects are to be brought, what objects are to be displayed, and entire process is the authority of the curator. But in a museum like IGRMS Bhopal, Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Mangala Sangrahalaya Bhopal, the curator decides the space that this habitat is to be erected here. But the community comes with the raw material. Supposing if it is a Gadava community of Odisha, so the Gadava community, along with their raw material, from their respective area, let's say undivided Koraput, they will go to the museum with the raw material. They will erect their habitat following their rituals. So the idea is that there is a community engagement in museum making. And therefore, the art and craft traditions that are displayed there, they have a stake. The community has a stake because they have brought those artifacts. And every 3 or 4 years, these communities are invited for maintenance.
Right.
So what I meant to say is, art and craft materials, when you talk of sort of preservation or conservation, whatever term you might use, the community is an important stakeholder.
Absolutely.
If you think that the government will set up a museum and therefore the heritage is to be protected, that
It's
is
not
not
so.
the answer.
Yeah.
The answer is community. If at all our heritage has survived the onslaught of so many aspects of up till now, I would give full credit to different communities. Government should act as facilitator rather than substitute for maintaining this heritage. I think government should act as a facilitator. It is the community, it is the voice of the community, it is the right of the community that are to be ensured most, and that is the most effective way of preserving the heritage.
Wonderful. So it's all in community, it's all in our hands. और ये community वाले aspect से मेरा अगला सवाल नवाज सर के लिए है. But let me remind you, इसके बाद I will be opening the floor to questions. Just for my knowledge, are there any questions that you have for this panel? Otherwise, I will continue my line of questioning. Is there anyone here who wants to ask any question? Okay, I can see one hand. Anyone else? Because I have been given very tight timelines for this panel by the organizers, and I have to stick to them. Okay. नवाज, मैं एक सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ इससे पहले कि मैं ऑडियंस के लिए फ्लोर खोलूँ. सर ने बात करी कम्युनिटी का रोल है आर्ट्स को प्रिजर्व करने में, हम सबका रोल है. आप सिनेमा जगत की इतनी बड़ी हस्ती हैं, आपका इन्फ्लुएंस है, लोग आपकी बातें सुनते हैं. तो 2 सवाल मैं आपसे करना चाहती हूँ. एक तो मैं मानती हूँ ये भुवनेश्वर या उड़ीसा या जाजपुर में आपकी पहली ट्रिप है, आपको कैसा लग रहा है, एक तो पहले बताइए ओडिशा आकर।
मुझे तो बहुत अच्छा लगा ऑफ कोर्स, क्योंकि मैंने तो किताबों में पढ़ा था जैसे और मेरी बड़ी ख्वाहिश भी थी पूरी जाने की, कोणार्क मंदिर देखने का, और जो मंदिर है दूसरा जगन्नाथपुरी का, वो देखने का बड़ी ख्वाहिश थी, बट टाइम इतना ज़्यादा वो नहीं रहा। बट नेक्स्ट टाइम अब आने के बाद थोड़ा सा ये लगा कि नेक्स्ट टाइम ज़रूर आऊँगा।
बिल्कुल, और हम ही बुलाएंगे आपको अगली बारी और रख लेंगे आपको अपने साथ कुछ दिनों के लिए। दूसरा सवाल ये कि आपको क्या लगता है, जिस तरह का माध्यम यहाँ पर हमने ICSJ इंटरनेशनल क्राफ्ट समिट जाजपुर जैसा जो माध्यम हमने बनाया है, एक प्लेटफॉर्म, एक मंच हमने बनाया है, इसकी क्या महत्वपूर्णता है क्राफ्ट्स को आगे ले जाने में?
आई थिंक बहुत महत्वपूर्णता है, और ये एक ग्रेट इनिशिएटिव है टू क्रिएट द अवेयरनेस ऑफ आवर ट्रेडिशनल आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट। तो मुझे लगता है कि चूंकि जब हमारे यहाँ तो हज़ारों साल की कल्चर है हर चीज़ को, लाइक जैसे यहाँ पे जजपुर में बहुत सारे जैसे स्टोन कार्विंग और क्लोथ के को लेके उड़ीसा की ही कल्चर रही है, जैसे चित्रपत्रा एक रही है, तो पूरी स्टोरी टेलिंग होती थी उसमें, तो उसमें पूरी स्टोरी का पता चल जाता है। और ये कहीं ना कहीं आपके जो टेम्पल्स होते थे हमारे जो जिसमें उस वक्त के टाइम की जो रिलेवेंसी थी वो पता चलती थी उस वक्त पे। तो स्टोरी टेलिंग के लिए भी हमें देखो ना क्राफ्ट्स की ज़रूरत हो, क्राफ्टमैन्स की ज़रूरत होती है। तो ये दूसरी बात ये है कि मैं जैसे हम लोग बाहर भी जाते हैं, हम लोग किसी भी के घर जाते हैं या किसी भी म्यूजियम में, शोरूम में जाते हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं हमारे इंडिया की जो शिल्पकारी है वो ज़रूर देखने के लिए मिल जाती है कहीं ना कहीं, और वो बहुत ही अलग होती है, और हमेशा एक ही क्वेश्चन पुटअप होता है कि ये कहाँ से लिया है, ये मैंने इंडिया से लिया है। जब बाहर इतना पॉपुलर है, फेमस है, और हम उस चीज़ को इस वक्त पे अगर हमें उस चीज़ को फैशन में लाएं या उसको प्रमोट करें, इससे बढ़िया टाइम तो हो ही नहीं सकता। तो मैं यही चाहता हूँ। क्या होता है ना कि जब हमारे पास पैसा वैसा आ जाता है तो हम बहुत ही ऐसी ऐसी चीज़ें में बिलीव करने लगते हैं, लेकिन जब उससे उकता जाते हैं तो वापस से हम अपनी वही आर्ट एंड कल्चर जो क्राफ्ट है हमारी, उस चीज़ को देख के ना सुकून मिलता है। तो वो बहुत ज़रूरी, सुकून, पैसा आना तो ठीक है, लेकिन वो सुकून हासिल करना भी बहुत ज़रूरी है, और वो तभी आता है जिन चीज़ों से हम इमोशनली, कल्चरली, ट्रेडिशनली जुड़े होते हैं। तो वापस से वो चीज़ आना बहुत ज़रूरी है, और यही ऑफ कोर्स हमारी क्राफ्ट्स में इतना पावर है कि वो हमें सुकून दिला सकता है। पैसा तो हर आदमी कमा लेता है, लेकिन पैसा कमा के सुकून कमाना वो बहुत मुश्किल काम है।
Absolutely. So I was requested to also, to also bring Nawaz's word to all of you. I do not know how to summarize and translate everything that Nawaz sir has said, but essentially the emotional foundation that you find in your own arts, your own crafts, when you go abroad and you see India's pieces, India shining in terms of its sculptures, in terms of its crafts, and in terms of its arts, you do take a moment to think that why is it not happening back home as much? I believe this is what Nawaz sir wanted to communicate. And Nawaz sir, एक last question, जिसके बाद मैं audience के पास आऊँगी. क्राफ्ट्समैन अपना काम कर रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट अपना काम कर रही है, सब अपना काम कर रहे हैं. आपका और मेरा काम क्या है क्राफ्ट्स को प्रमोट करने में? आप और हम क्या कर सकते हैं अपने इन्फ्लुएंस को यूज करके? हमने जिस तरह की हस्ती अपने लिए बनाई है उसको यूज करके हम क्राफ्ट्स को प्रमोट कैसे कर सकते हैं?
हमारी मजबूरी इस वक्त पे ये हो गई थी, हर चीज को ना हमें फैशन में लाना पड़ता है ना, तब जाके लोगों को समझ में आता है। तो हमारी क्राफ्ट को फैशन में लाना बहुत ज़रूरी है। फैशन नॉट, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि वो जो फैशन होता है जो रैंप पे और ये वो सब, वो नहीं। आई थिंक उस प्रमोशन उस लेवल पे होना चाहिए कि उसके बारे में बात करना ना वो लगना चाहिए कि आप बहुत ही अवेयर हैं, अपडेट हैं, वो बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो जैसे ही लोगों को लगता है ना कि यार तूने अभी वो तक देखा नहीं कि वो जो स्टोन का जो जिस तरीके से कार्विंग की जाती है जजपुर में, तो लोगों को लगने अगर आप उसके बारे में बात नहीं करोगे तो आप अपडेट नहीं हो। वो उस लेवल पे ना ला बहुत ज़रूरी है। चाहे हमारे कोई भी चीज़ हो, चाहे हमारे क्लोथिंग हो, चाहे हमारा जो भी क्राफ्ट्स के लिए जो भी हमारे आइटम्स हैं किसी भी चीज़ से बने हुए हैं उसको फैशन में लाना, उसकी बातें करना, अवेयरनेस लाना उसके बारे में। ये होना चाहिए कि अगर आप नहीं जानते तो आप अपडेट नहीं हो, बहुत पीछे हो, यू नो।
Right.
तो उसको कैसे करना है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो बेटर है कि मैं फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे हम लोग चाहते हैं जब भी कोई कॉस्ट्यूम होती है हमारी या हमारा जो ऑर्नामेंटेशन होता है अलग अलग चीज़ों से, तो हम चाहते हैं कि वो देसी हो। और मैं जब भी कोई फिल्म करता हूँ तो फिल्म के दौरान मैं ये पूछता हूँ कि ये इंडियन स्टफ है ना, ये कहाँ से बना हो, तो वो बहुत अच्छा लगता है, फ्रेम में बहुत अच्छा लगता है। तो यू नो उसका एक अलग ही टेक्सचर होता है, अलग ही फ्लेवर होता है उसका। तो आई थिंक वो अभी बहुत सारे जैसे डिजाइनर्स हैं या वो लोग इस चीज़ को प्रमोट भी कर रहे हैं, तो आई थिंक और बड़े लेवल पे होना चाहिए, तो आई थिंक वो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा।
Wonderful. Let's make crafts fashionable. It also reminds me of a conversation Shovan sir and I were having about fiber to fabric, but fabric to fashion. How do we take fabric still there? ये बहुत ज़रूरी conversations है which we all must keep having. Let's make crafts fashionable. Let's talk more about them, is what Nawaz sir said. I do believe I have time to take 2 questions from the audience. Can we please have the mic sent here? Do we have an audience mic? Just towards the center. So please do tell us your name and just field your question.
Okay. Hello, myself Ashish Senapati from Times of India. That I am asking a question to Mr. Sahu. Actually, recently I had been to Gopalpur. Many weavers actually they are shifting from silk weaving to cotton. I asked them region. They said that due to non-available of cocoons. So this is a very sad affair actually. Even I recently just I talked with some weavers are here. They are also saying they also told me that they are doing shifting to cottons. So this is a very sorry affair actually.
In fact, they are not shifting to cotton. There was a lull in production of tussar because of post-corona effect. And we got around 1 crore 40 lakhs last time the tussar cocoons were produced. But you will be happy to know what Honorable Minister for Rural Development, what the son of the soil, what he said is around, we have already crossed around 4 crore production this year. So we are about to get around 5 crore plus. So those raw material it is the raw material which has been shifted for a small time frame, like 5 to 6 months or 1 year maximum, because of the raw material lacking, and that has been taken care of by this year's production. So nothing to worry too much. It is getting sufficient. We are about to get the sufficient supply out of the tussar farmers. And this time also, Government of Odisha has given good amount of incentive to the tussar farmers so that there is uninterrupted supply of tussar to the tussar weavers. Thank you.
You have also
Thank you. Sir, we'll just, we need to give other people a chance to ask questions, please. Let's take these conversations off stage. Can we please give the mic right at the front? Thank you. Namaskar, sir. Please.
नमस्कार, जय जगन्नाथ। धन्यवाद बासा साहब, आपने उड़ीसा के बारे में जो बताया है, जिसे इंडियन आर्ट एंड कल्चर में उड़ीसा इज ए वेरी टॉप आर्ट एंड कल्चर। बासा साहब भी बाद में आप भी बताएंगे। सिद्दीक साहब को मेरा एक निवेदन है, आप फैशन में हैंडलूम को यूज कर सकते हैं, हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स को कैसे और स्टोन कार्विंग को कैसे आप उसको प्रमोट कर सकते हैं। तो ये बात आपके पास में, फिर मैं गया शोभन साहू जी के पास, आप हम लोग को कारीगर को या बुनकर को आसमान मत दिखाइए, धरती दिखाइए, आगे क्या होगा उसको छोड़ दीजिए। अभी का जो प्रॉब्लम है वो अभी जो बुनकर का प्रॉब्लम है, जो लोग गया होगा, जिसे सी दिस गोपालपुर cluster and Gopalpur village, it's a very poor people. India is a most sellable of Odisha sari. This is Gopalpur is a 10 to 15% of the Odisha sari. My question, the Siddiq Sahab, आप हैंडलूम को तो फैशन में लेंगे और निफ्ट भी कुछ कर रहे हैं, परंतु हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स का अंदर में स्थापत्य कला जो स्टोन कार्विंग, उसको किस तरीका से आपसे हम प्रमोशन करने का सलाह मिलेगा। जय जगन्नाथ।
लेना चाहेंगे क्वेश्चन लेना चाहेंगे। वो कह रहे हैं कि स्टोन कार्विंग को हम कैसे प्रमोट करें। आई थिंक बात करके जान के वो कह रहे हैं कि हैंडलूम तो हम पहन कर प्रमोट कर सकते हैं, लेकिन स्टोन कार्विंग, दिस इज योर क्वेश्चन है कि हैंडलूम तो हम पहन के प्रमोट कर सकते हैं, लेकिन स्टोन कार्विंग को कैसे प्रमोट करें। आई थिंक नवाज ने एक तरीके से इसका जवाब यही दे दिया था कि अगर हम बात ही कर पाएं इसके बारे में, जो भी हमारा सोशल कैपिटल है, जितने भी लोगों तक हमारी आवाज़ पहुंचती है, अगर हम इन चीज़ों के बारे में बात करें तो शायद अवेयरनेस बढ़ेगी तो शायद लोग अपने आप एक्सप्लोर करना चाहेंगे। आई एम आंसरिंग नवाज सर के बिहाफ पे। इस पे आप कुछ ऐड करना चाहेंगे?
मैंने तो बताया, मैंने पहले भी बोला, आई थिंक उसका जवाब मैंने पहले भी दिया था कि अब वापस जब हम अपने घरों में आते हैं तो हमें ऑफ कोर्स हम जो चीज़ें देखना चाहते हैं, जिसमें हमें सुकून मिलता है, तो वो वही चीज़ें जो हमारी कहीं ना कहीं हमारे ट्रेडिशन से जुड़ी होती हैं, हज़ारों साल पुरानी चीज़ों से जुड़ी होती हैं। तो एक तरह से जब आप, चाहे आपका घर हो, ऑफिस हो, व्हाटएवर, जो भी आप जहाँ भी बैठते हो, तो आपके सामने दिखने वाली चीज़ें क्या क्या हैं, उससे हमें सुकून मिलना चाहिए। अभी क्या होता है, जैसे ऑफिसेज हो जाते हैं, जो कॉर्पोरेट हाउसेज होते हैं, आप अगर देखेंगे वहाँ 2 मिनट बैठने का मन नहीं करता। ठीक है, मजबूरी है क्योंकि पैसा कमाना है इसलिए बैठना पड़ता है, क्योंकि वो बहुत ही अलग स्टाइल में, वेस्टर्न स्टाइल में बने होते हैं। लेकिन अगर हमारे उस ऑफिसेज में ऐसी चीज़ें हों, भले ही वो स्टोन की वजह से बनी हो, स्टोन कार्विंग हो, या हमारे जो भी पुरानी चीज़ें हैं ट्रेडिशन के थ्रू वो बनी हुई, तो हमारा मन करता है बैठने का। और मन अगर बैठने का कर रहा है तो डेफिनेटली कुछ ना कुछ क्रिएटिविटी तो होगी ही। पहले तो सुकून मिलना चाहिए, एक माहौल होना चाहिए। और डेफिनेटली हमें माहौल तभी मिलता है जब हमारी ट्रेडिशन की चीज़ें जुड़ी होती हैं, उसके साथ आसपास होती हैं, चारों तरफ हमें जहाँ भी देखते हैं वो कलर, वो स्टोन, वो मिट्टी, वो कपड़े, हमें वही दिख रहे हैं जिनकी हमने कभी बचपन में जिनको हमने देखा था।
बिल्कुल, क्या बात है। जोरदार तालियां एक बारी इस पैनल के लिए। And I am so glad. So what Nawaz essentially is talking about is the fact that the way we build even our urban cultures, our buildings, our metropolitans, there needs to be a certain element of our indigenous creativity involved there. And I think the organizers will be very happy because this is one of the themes that we will be exploring in this summit, which is around creativity and urbanization. In becoming urban, in becoming modern, are we absolutely becoming nearus, colorless? Can we bring the colors and crafts back into the urban landscape? I know there are questions. I unfortunately cannot take any more questions. I need to close this panel because we have to move ahead. And so, to summarize this entire conversation, we've done the opening act, we've laid down the premise, we've spoken about textiles, we've spoken about monuments, we've spoken about museums, we've spoken about Odisha, we've spoken about performing arts, we've spoken about being an artist and being a consumer of art and craft. Everything together in this panel, I think it's the perfect note to start ICSJ 2.0 on. And back to Rim Jim, I close this panel. Please put your hands together for all of our panelists, all of our dignitaries, and this opening act.
Well, wow, what
जय जगन्नाथ। बात है कि मेरा जो अभी ये क्राफ्ट्स स्टोन कार्विंग के ऊपर में वुड कार्विंग ब्रॉन्ज ये सब काम हो रहा है। पहले तो मैंने स्टोन कार्विंग से शुरू किया था। तो हम सीखने के समय में गुरुकुल में बहुत परेशानी होना पड़ता था। तो अभी ये कारीगरी इतना ऊपर गया है तो इसको देने के लिए समय की बहुत जरूरी है। सबके पास इतना समय नहीं है, तो इसीलिए आपण मान करे काम ऑर्डर देला परे जदि बहुत काम ऑर्डर अच्छी आम पाखे आम समय नौचु, कारण ये सब काम बहुत सुंदर से होना चाहिए। नहीं तो ये काम नीचे गिर जाएगा, अच्छा काम नहीं होगा तो इसका डेवलपमेंट आगे बढ़ेगा नहीं, घट जाएगा। तो मेरा क्राफ्ट्स अभी तक जो काम मिलता है हमें, अभी 5 साल 10 साल के लिए ऑर्डर हमारे पास है। हम जापान में सबसे ज्यादा किया, 35 कंट्री में काम किया। मेरा गुरुकुल से जो स्टूडेंट निकला है अभी वो लोग बहुत नेशनल वाली है, स्टेट वाली है और वो अच्छा से काम कर रहे हैं। तो ये कारीगरी एक जो नहीं देखेगा, जो स्थापत्य कोणार्क पुरी भुवनेश्वर में है या बिरजा क्षेत्र में है, उनका काम आप सब देख रहे हैं। परंतु उड़ीसा का जो क्राफ्ट्स कारीगर अपना घर में कर रहे हैं, आप उनको नहीं देखा है। वो वही कारीगर को इतना अच्छा और सुंदर से बना रहे हैं कि आप देखने के बाद महसूस होगा वो लोग अभी जिंदा है और बना सकता है। परंतु इसी में आगे करने के लिए इसी का जो कारीगरी है तो धीरे धीरे जो युवा लोग हैं, जो यंग आर्टिस्ट लोग उसमें ध्यान ही नहीं देते हैं। क्यों? इसमें कमाई ज्यादा नहीं है, उनका परिवार चलाने का बहुत मुश्किल होता है। एक जम जो मूर्ति कला ऐसा चीज है जो वो ड्रीम्स जो सपना को अपना कारीगरी में महसूस करके बनाने का है। उनका सामने कुछ दिखाई नहीं देता है, क्योंकि वो ब्रेन में रहेंगे, उसी को उसमें निकालेंगे, ऑर्डर देने वाले चाहत के हिसाब से वो बनाएंगे, तब ये कला आगे जाएगा। मेरा काम है मूर्ति कला सिखाने के समय में कारीगर अच्छा काम करे। मेरा जो गुरुकुल में रहेगा वहाँ खाना भी मिलता है, रहने मिलता है और उसमें स्टाइपेंड भी मिलता है। भारत सरकार, उड़ीसा सरकार कुछ भी एक पैसा नहीं देने से भी मेरा आज से 75 से चलता है। मेरा उम्र अभी 85+ है। तो इसीलिए ये कारीगर को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए आपका सबका सहायता बहुत जरूरी है। सब लोग अपना परिवार में एक कलाकृति को अपना घर में जिसका जितना पैसा दे के करेगा, थोड़ा सा छोटा काम भी बड़ा काम भी रखेंगे तो एक परिवार को प्रेरणा देंगे ये कारीगरी बचना चाहिए। तो मेरा बात है कि ये कारीगर को आगे लेने के लिए जो गुरुकुल है, इससे उड़ीसा सरकार इसको समझ के, हमारा उड़ीसा सरकार अभी बहुत कुछ उड़ीसा का परिवर्तन किया है और उसको आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट्स को ज्यादा महत्व देने के लिए हैंडलूम हैंडीक्राफ्ट डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल भी बनाया है। शायद थोड़ा दिन का बाद उसका अनावरण हो जाएगा, पर काम शुरू हो गया, काम भी चलता है। मैं यहाँ का कलेक्टर महोदय को धन्यवाद देता हूँ, ऐसा समिट में मेरे को कुछ बोलने के लिए बुलाया, धन्यवाद। परंतु कला अमर है, उद्यम हमारा है, हम सब मिलकर सरकार का साथ देंगे। सब सरकार का ऊपर पूरा निर्भर नहीं करना चाहिए, तो आगे ये कला जागरूक होगा। मैं जैसे आज प्रतिष्ठित हुआ हूँ, ऐसा बहुत कारीगर भी प्रतिष्ठित हो गया। आगे नवीन सरकार जी का जो प्रशासन से ये कला और विकसित होके 2-3 साल या आने वाला साल में ये कला बहुत आगे चला जाएगा। क्योंकि कारीगरी ऐसा चीज है, ये सब कुछ जरूरी पड़ेगा, क्योंकि इसका बिना अपना घर में शांति, में सुख समृद्धि एक कला को देखने से मन का अंदर में कोई मन का असहयोग हट जाता है, सहयोग बढ़ाता है। तो जो आपका क्वेश्चन जो होगा उसका उत्तर मैं दूंगा और ऑडियंस में जो लोग है क्वेश्चन करेंगे जो लोग उसका जवाब भी दूंगा। जय जगन्नाथ।
Thank you so much. So, Sudarshan ji spoke so many contemporary issues, so many that how stone carving, unlike handlooms and textiles, is more like a one-time purchase and needs a lot of institutional support and a customer buying support. And he also kind of elaborated on how he has been tirelessly working with his Gurukul so that this craft stays. And talking about Gurukul, I have with me Saudamini ji. Now she is a national awardee of one of the famous arts, Patachitra. She has taken it to London and so many other countries. Until today, she is considered like a hallmark of this ancient craft that started from the Puri temple of Odisha. So the question to Saudamini ji मेरा ये है कि the market is changing so fast. इतना जल्दी market बदल रहा है. और हम लोग sustainability की बात करते हैं artisans के. You know, we talk about keeping the art alive. So specifically newer generations जो है, जो कि इन आर्टिसंस की हैं, पटचित्रा आर्टिसंस के नए बच्चे हैं, हाउ डू यू सी पटचित्रा गोइंग फॉरवर्ड? आगे इसको किस तरह ले जा पाए कि आर्ट अपना ओरिजिनल फॉर्म में या कंटेम्पररी फॉर्म में उसके एसेंस को, पटचित्रा के एसेंस को लेते हुए आगे बढ़े? व्हाट इज your opinion? And one more thing that I want to mention before she speaks is she's wearing a beautiful hand-painted Patachitra sari that I see on her. So Saudamini ji, आपका क्या thought है इसको लेके? क्या thought है?
मैं पहले मंचासीन सारे अतिथियों को प्रणाम करती हूँ और मेरा वयोज्येष्ठ शिल्पी को मैं भी प्रणाम करती हूँ और मेरा छोटा भाया बहन उसको 2024 की उसको नया साल की अभिनंदन और शुभेच्छा। मैं उड़ीसा पटचित्र वो जो हमारा है, हमारा जगन्नाथ संस्कृति से वो उद्धृत है। जब से जगन्नाथ है, जब से हमारा पटचित्र भी हमारा और जगन्नाथ जिस समय अनसर रूम में रहते हैं, अनसर उनको बुखार होता है, इस समय हमारा पटिया नाम में हमारा पटिया जगन्नाथ मंदिर में पटचित्र पूजा पाते हैं। वही समय से हमारा जो हमारा पुराना पेंटिंग उसको देख के और हमारा गुरुजी के गुरु जो होते हैं उससे भी जो हम सीखते हैं और हम अभी सीखते हैं 30 साल हम अभी हो गए वही पटचित्र में काम करती हूँ और हम भी हमारा स्टूडेंट्स लोग को सिखाती हूँ, पटचित्र सिखाती हूँ और 25-30 स्टूडेंट्स लोग भी मेरा है स्टूडेंट। मैं देखती हूँ वही पटचित्र में बहुत सारे लेडीज काम करने को लगते हैं क्योंकि एक बैठने का काम है, वो ज्यादा लेडीज लोग ही पटचित्र बनाते हैं उड़ीसा में। और पटचित्र जो पेंटिंग था हमारा रामायण महाभारत और कृष्ण लीला गणेश स्टोरी, इस हमारा जो पुराण है हम पुराण को पढ़ के पटचित्र बनाते हैं। वो जो पटचित्र स्टोरी होते हैं, जो पटचित्र पढ़ के हमारा संस्कृति को हम देश विदेश में हम वो जो उड़ीसा को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कोशिश करती है और हमारे स्टूडेंट्स लोग भी वो जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स लोग कैसे आगे बढ़ेंगे, हम भी कैसे आगे कुछ करेंगे और हमारा सरकार भी कुछ करे, उसके लिए हम चाहते हूँ कि हमारा सरकार भी उस स्टूडेंट्स लोग के लिए कुछ करे और कारीगर लोग के लिए कुछ करे, ये हमारा चाहते हैं। वो जो हमारा आजकल जो मार्केटिंग होता है वो पटचित्र को हम साड़ी पर और ड्रेस पर और चुनरी पर इस टाइप का जो मार्केट चाहते हैं उसको हम बनाते हैं उसके ऊपर और ज़्यादा मार्केटिंग भी होते हैं। और हमारा उड़ीसा से हम दिल्ली और सूरज कुंड इस टाइप जो प्रोग्राम होते हैं, इसमें जो कस्टमर चाहते हैं, जिस टाइप का चाहते हैं, हम उसको थोड़ा सा हमारा परंपरा को तो हम चेंज नहीं कर सकते हैं, उसी शैली का, वही ओडिसी शैली को रख के हम साड़ी और ड्रेस मटेरियल के ऊपर बना के, और वो अच्छी तरह सेल भी होता है, बहुत ज़्यादा मार्केटिंग होता है। उस पर नया पीढ़ियों को भी वो मार्केटिंग का वो चाहिए मिलेगा, और बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स लोग भी यहाँ पर रहेंगे और ज़्यादा रोजगार कर पाएंगे, ये मेरा आशा और विश्वास। जगन्नाथ जी के पास भी मैं विश्वास रखती हूँ कि हमारा परंपरा को हम आगे बढ़ाएंगे, जरूर बढ़ाएंगे। जय जगन्नाथ।
Thank you so much. Actually, that came from her heart. To summarize what she said was that the ancient art of Patachitra has been there since Jagannath was there. And it is one of the oldest art forms of India. But how it is changing its color and form is that every year it has been an endeavor of Saudamini ji to add 25 to 30 newer generation kids who learn this art form in its true entity, imbibing the ancient learnings of Ramayana and Mahabharata that inspires the Patachitra art. Now, apart from this learning that she is continuously at, she also feels that there is a design intervention needed, because unlike the scroll paintings, the customer look for more easy to wear things like dresses or saris, something that's wearable, unlike a simple art form. So she's continuously working at also to make this craft accessible, which is amazing initiative. And she again stressed the importance of government support, which has been there always, but she says that it should continue for as long as, forever, for the art to survive. Now, if we talk about an ancient art, there's a very important concept to keep it to the tune of the time, So we have with us Uday Mohanty sir. He has literally mentored over 1 lakh artisans from stone carving to different crafts in Odisha. He's also a member of the Odisha Handloom and Handicrafts Development Board. So sir, मेरा आपसे ये question है कि कई बार कितना ज़रूरी होता है कि पुराने motif, पुराने design को preserve किया जाए, while also modernizing the craft. We have seen something like that in textiles, because Odisha is one of the hallmark of ikat textiles, Sambalpuri ikat. So कितना ज़रूरी है आज के time में, and what do you think has been the work इसको preserve करने के लिए, पुराने motif, पुराने designs? So we would definitely want to understand the perspective of the importance of older motifs, the documentation in view of the changing times.
जय जगन्नाथ। सभी सदस्यों को मैं नमन करता हूं, क्योंकि आप लोग सब बाहर से जो आए हैं, उड़ीसा में पधारे हैं, इसके लिए मैं मेरी बाहर से जो आए हैं उनको धन्यवाद करता हूं। और साथ के लिए तो कुछ संरक्षण म्यूजियम बना के उन लोग ने किए हैं, फिर भी हमारा जिम्मेदारी कुछ बनता है जो हम लोग संरक्षण करते हैं, करना चाहिए। क्योंकि जो परंपरा होता है, अगर ये परंपरा एक बार मिल जाए तो फिर ये परंपरा को ढूंढ निकालने में हम लोग को बहुत सारी कोशिश करने के लिए पड़ेगा। अभी परंपरा है, थोड़ा बहुत कहाँ पे दब गया है परंपरा। हम जैसे सोचते हैं ये होता नहीं है, मिलता नहीं है। संस्कृति है, हमारा जो कला परंपरा है, पास में जो भी पूरा लैंग्वेजिंग हो जाता है, उसको कैसे सामने लाना है, उसको फिर जैसे पहले का वो रूप था, जैसे बहुत विशाल बढ़िया रूप था, उस बढ़िया में लाने का काम सरकार का होता है। क्योंकि वो चीज को पहले प्रमोट करना है, पहले उसका ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म बनाना है जिस प्लेटफॉर्म में जाके हम उसको प्रेजेंट करें तो सारा दुनिया इसको ग्रहण करेगा। तो हम उस प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं बनाएंगे तो फिर हम लोग समझेंगे कैसे, जैसे बाहर से कंपनी आए उनका चीज को प्रमोट करें तो हमारा लोग उसी कंपनी का पीछे पड़ गए, तो उसी सारी चीज तो समाज में अभी बेच रहे हैं। तो ये हमारा जो हैंडीक्राफ्ट है, हैंडलूम्स है, वो बेच नहीं रहे हैं। हमारा प्रमोशन का कहां से कहां गलत है। जो भी हम सोचते हैं ठीक सही तरीका से, सही ढंग से नहीं सोच पाया, इसीलिए ये होता है। तो मेरा एक सुझाव है सरकार से, ये काम तो हमको करना है, फिर भी सरकार इसका पूरा जिम्मेदारी लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि खुद सरकार ही चलाते हैं। जितना पैसा है सरकार का पास होता है, जितना सब आप जो भी आइन कानून तरीका सब सरकार का पास में है। और हमारा घर में कोई लैंग्वेजिंग चीज, कोई पुराना चीज रहता है तो वो भी कानून के लिए थोड़ा बहुत कहां भी दिक्कत होता है। तो इसीलिए सरकार इसका जिम्मेदारी लेके उसको कैसे प्रमोशन कर रहे हैं। हम लोग तो सहयोग करेंगे ही सरकार को। जैसे हम लोग संघ बनाए हैं तो एक कारीगर को जो कला डूब जा रहे हैं, जो कला मिट्टी में मिल जा रहे हैं उड़ीसा में, उसी कला को वो कैसे आगे आएगा, सरकार का पास में लेकर उसका जितना ही आवश्यकता है, हम लोग कहते हैं ऐसा कीजिए, ऐसा कीजिए, ऐसा करने में ऐसा तो हो ही सकता है। हमारा कला परंपरा, आप मैडम जाइए सारा भारत घूमिए, जितना स्टेट है कुछ किसी स्टेट में इतना तरीका में हैंडीक्राफ्ट चीज नहीं है जितना तरीका में आप उड़ीसा में आपको मिलेंगे। अभी उड़ीसा में 51 ट्रेड है। फिर आपको जाकर हम तो बैठ के ये डिसीजन किए हैं सरकार का साथ में, और 5-7 क्राफ्ट भी जुड़ जाएंगे। मान के चलिए 60-70 क्राफ्ट उड़ीसा में है, जैसे कोई स्टेट में ऐसे नहीं होता है। यहीं पे भी बहुत सारी क्राफ्ट लैंग्वेज में जाते हैं, तो हम लोग का काम ऐसा होता है। तो ये मेरा मानना है, जो सरकार उसको कुछ ना कुछ व्यवस्था करना चाहिए। जैसे आप हैंडीक्राफ्ट कीजिए, हैंडलूम कीजिए, हैंडलूम में भी बहुत सारे डिजाइन है, जो डिजाइन अभी मार्केट में बहुत सारी चाहिदा है, लेकिन उनका प्रोडक्शन नहीं हो रहा है। आप कोटपाड़ जाइए उड़ीसा में, तो वहां देखिए, आप डेंगुरिया कंधा का जो साल जीआई टैग मिले, आप वहीं पे जाइए देखिए, तो सही ढंग से काम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं बुनकर लोग, क्योंकि उनको जितना फैसिलिटी से चाहिए वो फैसिलिटी हर चीज का है समाज में। आप आज देखिए तो तेल का बढ़ गया, ये का बढ़ गया, से का, हर चीज तो आदमी को जरूरी होता है यूज करने के लिए, लेकिन हमारा जो प्रोडक्ट होता है उसका दाम नहीं बढ़ता है, क्योंकि वो डिजाइन सरकार ठीक से। आप उड़ीसा में देखेंगे कृषि का बाद में अगर कोई एक जात आगे आएगा जहां से बहुसंख्यक लोग काम, सारी एम्प्लॉयमेंट हैंडीक्राफ्ट हैंडलूम में खुद आदमी आत्मनिर्भरशील हो सकता है। सरकार क्या इसको सब चाकरी नौकरी दे सकते हैं? दे नहीं सकते। तो इसीलिए मैं सरकार को ये अनुरोध करेंगे कि आप इस सेक्टर को जरा बढ़ावा दीजिए, कैसे लैंग्वेज का पुनरुद्धार हो सके, कैसे वहाँ एमसीएम कैसे अपॉइंटमेंट हो सके, वहाँ का लोग को आप ऐसे कीजिए जो वो ट्रेनिंग ले सके, फिर भी वो क्राफ्ट प्रोडक्ट में आ जाए, तो हम लोग का बहुत सारी काम हो जाएगा, उड़ीसा का नाम भी रहेगा। सारा बाहर से अभी जो पुरानी चीज का आदर है, सारा बाहर में इंडिया को छोड़कर बाहर में जो आदर है उसका आदर भी हम लोग ठीक कर सकते हैं। सारी आदमी का जो मांग है उसको हम फुलफिल कर सकते हैं। जय जगन्नाथ।
Thank you so much. I think his inputs literally came from heart. If I have to summarize it for the general understanding, because I also see a lot of non-Indians who may... so what Mohanty sir spoke was so critical, that Odisha is one state which has over 60 crafts. One of the major reasons for that has been that the state was surrounded by forest, ancient tribes. In fact, one of the reasons I relocated to Odisha was this is one state which has 13 PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups that have their unique lifestyle, craft and ecosystem. So coming back to my question, when I asked him about preservation of motifs and ancient techniques, he said that while there are some excellent museums in the state and in the state capital, there is also a need of a platform that kind of assesses and preserves the smaller elements like the language, the personal objects of different ancient families, so that the ancient knowledge can be preserved. He gave some fantabulous examples of the tribal textile of Kotpad, which is full of motives and meanings. And then he also gave example of Dongriya Konda shawl. We work with them continuously. So as a positive feedback, Mohanty sir said that government and individuals have to work hand in hand to ensure that we do not lose the ancient knowledge in a bid to modernize craft and take it to a lot of people. Since we are time crunched and the session was half an hour, I cannot miss taking opinion of Priya Ranjan Kar sir. He is the secretary of Odisha Shilpi Mahasangh and also the editor of Karigar magazine. So coming from a journalism background and also handloom, आपको तो इतना input मिलता होगा कि बाहर क्या हो रहा है and हम आज कहाँ पर हैं handlooms को लेके. So I would like to have your input कि किस तरह कई बार challenges आते होंगे scalability को लेके, supply chain को लेके, उड़ीसा से कहीं बाहर जाने के लिए, या कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हम लोग एक craft को standardize नहीं कर पाते, इसलिए वो आगे नहीं बढ़ पाता. So what do you think, or what do you think can be the improvements to address this कि एक craft बढ़ता जाए आगे और global हो जाए? What are your thoughts?
जय जगन्नाथ, समस्तों नमस्कार. Odisha is a land of crafts and handloom fabrics. I think it is a heaven in our country. जो बाहर से आते हैं, मुझे लगता है कि उड़ीसा एक ही जगह है जहाँ पर आप वेरियस टाइप्स ऑफ क्राफ्ट्स और वेरियस टाइप्स ऑफ हैंडलूम आप देख सकते हैं, और कहीं नहीं मिलेगा विश्व में, और कहीं नहीं मिलेगा जितने सारा क्राफ्ट्स हमारा उड़ीसा में है. आप कभी जाइए हमारा कोणार्क मंदिर देखने के लिए, 1250 एडी में वो बना है. हम इतना ओल्डेस्ट सिविलाइजेशन है, हम उड़िया लोग हैं, इतना पुराना है. वहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं हमारा नृत्य, हमारा कला, हमारा संगीत, हमारा खाद्य, सब कुछ, हमारा फूड, सब कुछ सब देख सकते हैं कोणार्क मंदिर में. और मैं भी और एक आग्रह करूंगा, ये जो जाजपुर में जो समिट हो रहा है ना, आप लोग जितने भी सारे बाहर से आए हैं, मैं सबको आग्रह करूंगा कि आप कभी जाइए, ललितगिरी जाइए, रत्नगिरी जाइए, उदयगिरी जाइए, जहाँ पर बहुत सारा बड़ा बड़ा मोन्यूमेंट्स है, बुद्धिस्ट मोन्यूमेंट्स हैं. मुझे लगता है कि यहाँ पर इतना बड़ा बड़ा बुद्धिस्ट मोन्यूमेंट है, मुझे लगता है कि सारा भारत में और कहीं होगा. तो हमारे जो कारीगर जो कारीगरी करते हैं, उनको अभी जरूरत है, उनको प्रोत्साहन जरूरत है. क्योंकि अगर खाद्य, वस्त्र और बासगृह दोनों को हम हमारा मौलिक सुविधा बोलते हैं, तो खाद्य तो देता है हमारा फार्मर देते हैं, मगर हमारा जो इतना बासगृह की बात बोलते हैं, कि वस्त्र की बात बोलते हैं, हमारा बुनकर लोग, हमारा आर्टिजन लोग देते हैं. तो ये विश्व का पहले एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं, उनको वही मान्यता देना चाहिए कि ये सब बहुत पहले से एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं, वो अपना खुद का सामान बनाते हैं और खुद को बेचना भी जानते हैं. तो उनको क्या चाहिए अभी, वो तो उनका कला मालूम है, बेचने की कला उनको मालूम नहीं, तो कैसे सर्वाइव किए. अभी तो 1947 से हमारा गवर्नमेंट बना, तब जाकर हमारा प्रशासन आए, हमारे मंत्री नेता आए, हमको प्रोत्साहन दिए. पहले से तो वो हैं, तो उनको अभी क्या चाहिए. उनको जो रॉ मेटेरियल स्कार्सिटी है, जो यहाँ के पत्थर कारीगरों को पत्थर नहीं मिलता है, बुनकर को टसर नहीं मिलता है, यार नहीं मिलता है, उसको कैसे उनके पास पहुंचाएंगे उसके बारे में सोचिए. और उसके साथ साथ मार्केटिंग के लिए जितने सारे देखो बहुत सारे है, हमारा एनएच है, सारे इंडिया में बिछा हुआ है. एनएच की साइड में कारीगर हाट बनाइए, बहुत सारा ट्रैफिक जाता है, गाड़ियां जाते हैं, लोग जाते हैं, यहीं से भी रुक जाएंगे, उनका सामान वो ले लेंगे. उनके साथ साथ उनको भी जो कारीगर गांव है, उसके सामने एक साइन बोर्ड रखिए कि इस गांव वो काम करते हैं, उनका फोटो लगाइए. अभी टाइम आ गया है, खुद ब खुद टूरिस्ट उनको पास जाएंगे और उनका चीज खरीदेंगे. वो होता नहीं है अभी तक. उसके साथ साथ उनको रिकॉग्निशन मिलना चाहिए. हम नहीं ये सोचते हैं कि वो पढ़ाई नहीं किए हैं, उनका पढ़ा ज्यादा नहीं है, वो डॉक्टरेट नहीं है, पीजी नहीं किए, मास्टर डिग्री नहीं किए हैं, वो अपना काम में मास्टर डिग्री किए हैं, तो उस हिसाब से उनको सम्मान देना चाहिए. और उसके साथ साथ उनको जो सोशल सिक्योरिटीज है, उनको बीमा चाहिए, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस चाहिए. उनके साथ साथ उनका बच्चे कैसे पढ़ें, क्योंकि ये लोग अपना काम को नहीं बचाए हैं, ये अपना संस्कृति को बचाए हैं. सारे भारत में हम अगर किसी, आपने जो कपड़े पहने हैं, कहीं भी जगह आप जाएंगे, वो लोग ऐसे बोल देंगे ये ट्राइबल का कपड़ा है ना. हा? मैं ये जो चादर रखा हूँ, ये गोपालपुर और नुआपटना की चादर है, जाजपुर का है, मैं क्यों इसे पकड़ के रहा हूँ, इसे क्यों पहना हूँ, कि लोग जाने कि हमारा जो चीज है ना, वो खुद ब खुद हमको परिचय देता है. तो उनको अभी रिकॉग्निशन की भी जरूरत है। मुझे लगता है कि ये जो क्राफ्ट समिट डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने ये यहाँ पर शुरू किए हैं, ये 2 साल का अभी दूसरा साल में चल रहा है, तो उनको मैं बधाई देता हूँ। ऐसे ही ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बातचीत होना चाहिए, डायलेक्ट्स मोर डायलेक्ट्स होना चाहिए, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बाहर का टूरिस्ट कैसे आए, हमको देखे, हमको जाने, हमका प्रचार प्रसार की अभी बहुत सारी ज़रूरत है। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much. This was such a beautiful input that came from Priyaranjan Kar sir. Just to quickly sum up, he spoke about that whether an artist, first of all, he definitely spoke about the rich craft landscape the state offers, and no other state in the country has so many crafts at one place. But then the beautiful part, what he said was that irrespective that a person has studied or not, he knows his craft the best. He's the best at it, but what he needs in terms of scaling or sustainable, to keep the art sustainable, is ensuring that quality raw materials reach him, ensuring that there is technology that marriages the art, in the sense that when a traveler like us who come from outside the state visit the state, there can be something that integrates with different technology platforms like Google that shows that this particular village has this artisan, something that can improve their presence of the craft that they already master. And I really believe, then he definitely spoke about content, marketing, and went on to say that बातें कभी खत्म नहीं होनी चाहिए, and I think उसमें मैं भी विश्वास रखती हूँ that the dialogue should never close. Since we are almost at the end, I would request that all of these 4 artists who are with me are so gifted and privileged that you can take individual questions with them after the session, but with all the useful and very, very relevant inputs we had from 4 of them. Thank you so much, sir. I declare the second panel of the International Craft Summit of Jajpur closed, and I hope that this was as useful and relevant for you. Thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you. All right, Rimjim has requested me, if anyone has any question, we are happy to take 2 questions, Rimjim. We can take 2 questions. Okay. Okay, we'll surely get you.
Can we just give the mic to this girl in pink? Yes.
Hello. Hi, my name is Diksha. I'm from NIFT. So my question is that recently we visited Cuttack for the silver filigree artwork, which is also known as Tarakashi. And we interviewed many of the artisans over there. And what we discovered after talking to the artisans, that there are many artisans who are literally doing it from many years. But if I talk about the present scenario, they are doing it as a part-time job, not as a full-time job, and they are really invested in that. But what we have discovered, that why they are doing it as a part-time is that they are not getting enough of the wages to run their family, and they are very skilled with that silver filigree artwork, and that kind of artwork is coming from Odisha only, and that is going to extend because their legacy is coming extend, and their future generations are not into that artwork. So what are your thoughts? How can we, what can we do for them to have that artwork sustained for the future? Because the future generation is not coming into it, and they are not taking it as a full-time job. So it is going to be, I guess, in the coming next years, more of the extent.
All right, I think I would want Priyadarshan sir to answer this question. So basically जो इनका question था वो तारकशी के ऊपर था, कटक की तारकशी. तो उनका सवाल ये था कि रिसेंटली उन्होंने एक इंटरव्यू किया वहाँ के तारकशी आर्टिसंस के साथ, और ऑब्वियसली आप तो जानते ही होंगे कि आर्ट इतना खूबसूरत है अपने आप में, बट वो लोग पार्ट टाइम काम करते हैं इस पे, फुल टाइम इसलिए नहीं कर पाते कि डिमांड थोड़ी कम हो गई है ओवर टाइम, एंड उनका ये कहना है कि क्योंकि डिमांड भी कम हो गई है और हमें सस्टेन भी करना है, घर भी चलाना है, तो इसलिए हमें बाहर भी काम करने पड़ते हैं। तो क्वेश्चन, इफ आई एम राइट, उनका ये क्वेश्चन था कि फ्यूचर में इस इतने ब्यूटीफुल क्राफ्ट को सस्टेन करने के लिए क्या किया जा सकता है, क्योंकि उनका मन भी है कि कंटिन्यू करें, लेकिन कोई रीजंस है कि वो इसको फुल टाइम परस्यू नहीं कर पा रहे। तो आपके थॉट्स?
ना, कटक तो बहुत फेमस है तारकशी के लिए, रोपे कारीगरी के लिए, बहुत सारे कारीगर भी वहाँ पर हैं। आप देखेंगे जब दुर्गा पूजा आता है, उनका पीछे जो मेढ़ बनता है, जो पूरा उनका क्राउन वगैरह ऑर्नामेंट सब कुछ वो बनाते हैं, वो उसका भी बहुत नाम भी है, सारा विश्व में नाम है। मगर ये भी एक दुख की बात है, धीरे धीरे हमारा कारीगर काम छोड़ रहे हैं। इसके लिए उसके साथ साथ उनको प्रोत्साहन जितना मिलना चाहिए नहीं मिलता है। मेरा तो एक रिक्वेस्ट है, आप जब किसी कारीगर को मिलते हैं तो उनके साथ बार्गेन मत कीजिए, जो भी दाम बोलता है उसको दे दीजिए, वो खुद ब खुद सेल्फ सस्टेन हो जाएगा। क्योंकि एक देखो, आजकल तो आप जैसे बेटियां बहुत सारे अलंकार यानी कि ज्वेलरी आप पहनते हैं, अभी उनका मार्केट है, तो उनको अभी ये करना चाहिए कि उनको संगठित, जो उड़ीसा शिल्पी महासंघ हमारा यूनियन है, उनको भी संगठित कर रहे हैं, हमारे भी वहाँ पर मेंबर्स हैं। उनको ये लगता है कि नहीं, नौकरी करने से ज़्यादा मुझे फायदा मिलेगा, सम्मान मिलेगा राज्य में। ये कारीगरी बोलते हैं तो उनको लगता है कि वो डेली वेजेस में काम कर रहा है, ये दिन मजूरिया उसे लगता है, तो इसलिए वो धीरे धीरे छोड़ रहे हैं। क्योंकि हम अगर उनको सम्मान देंगे, उनको प्रोत्साहन करेंगे, सरकार की तरफ से भी उन्हें प्रोत्साहन आएगा, तो खुद ब खुद बढ़ेंगे, जरूर बढ़ेंगे।
Yeah, to sum up, that was a great input. To sum up what he said, first of all, so sorry, can't take more questions because time is really restricted. But to answer specifically, Priyadarshan said, sir said a very relevant thing, that newer generations also need to buy that ancient silver Tarkashi, because somehow the art has still been doing old school designs, but they are beautiful and exquisite. So it also dawns upon us as individuals that we buy such kind of products over fast fashion jewelry, and that will be first step. And definitely he also spoke about creating knowledge. A lot of people don't know about Silver Tarkashi of Odisha or Cuttack for that matter. So I feel that as a newer generation, content plays a great role, and I think these two steps can be the first, sort of ladder to keep the art alive.
काव्या, मैं एक बात बोलना चाहूंगा, आप कभी कटक जाएंगे तो कभी पंकज साहू को मिलिए, उनका एक हाथ नहीं है यहाँ से, मगर वो जो हॉकी का ओलंपिक हुआ था ना उड़ीसा में, तो जितने भी सारे ट्रॉफी बनाए थे सिल्वर फिलिग्रा वही बनाए थे, बहुत बड़ा नेशनल अवार्ड है वो, उनको कभी मिलिए, आप देखें उनका कि वो कितना हुनरबाज है।
Thank you so much. Can we have a round of applause? What an informative and insightful session that was. We have thrown light on some important facts. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, this is time for the felicitation of our panelists. I request Kavya to please do the honors. I request Kavya to please felicitate Padma Vibhushan Dr. Sudarshan Sahu sir, Chairman Odisha Handlooms and Handicraft Development and Promotion Council. Thank you so much, sir. आज आपने अपना कीमती वक्त निकाला, आज हमारे साथ जुड़े। Ladies and gentlemen, लग रहा है एनर्जी थोड़ी कम हो गया. I know that you all are waiting eagerly for the lunch. Please felicitate Uday Mohanty sir, President Odisha Shilpi Mahasangh. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here. Priya Ranjan Kar sir, member Odisha Handlooms and Handicrafts Development and Promotion Council. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Next, the lady behind the Patta Chitra, Sodamini Swain, National Awardee. Can we have a round of applause? Come on, for all the panelists. And I would love to felicitate Kavya Saxena, our wonderful moderator for the session. Well, with this, we are done with the first half of the session. I request everyone to please proceed towards the lunch area. The lunch is in the banquet hall. Please refer to the map. Please map pe refer kare to know where is the banquet hall. And please proceed towards the lunch area. At 2:15, we'll be starting off with the next panel discussion. Please go and enjoy your scrumptious meal. Thank you so much. We'll be right back after 45. She worked closely with Tom communities in rural Rajasthan with the Urmul Trust on issues of integrated community development and a focus on women's empowerment. She is a recipient of the Nari Shakti Award 2016 from the President of India for her work related to the empowerment of women and rural artisans. Can we just welcome, come on everybody, Sumita Ghosh. Next, we'd like to welcome Manorath Dhillon. Can we just have a round of applause for Manorath Dhillon, CEO Okhai. Manorath Dhillon is the CEO and creative head, Okhai Center for Empowerment. She is a multidisciplinary designer, artist and entrepreneur. She built Okhai's design philosophies and social innovation drive through craft development and design transformation to facilitate sustainable growth. She has worked with rural communities in Gujarat and has been a part of many impact stories of women-led rural artisans. Okhai works with 25,000 rural artisans pan-India and is a marketplace for many artisan groups. Come on everybody, please welcome Manorath Dhillon. Now, the last but not the least, the panelist for this session, Rinal Jain. Come on, can we have a round of applause from Rinal, Head of Business Strategy and Operations, Kadam Haath. Rinal's journey in the realm of D2C companies has been marked by significant accomplishments. He steered the inception and the growth of State Plates, shepherding it from the nascent stages to a successful acquisition. Currently building Kadam Haath and Kadam, aiming to elevate it to new heights and make a profound impact on the life of more artisans. This commitment to pragmatism, honed through hands-on experience, continues to be the driving force behind the success. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the wonderful panelists and moderator for this session. Can we have again round of applause? Thank you so much. Now over to our moderator, Payal.
Rimjim. Thank you so much for this wonderful introductions. Thank you, the panelists, for agreeing to come for this. And thank you, all of you, for listening for this market-led after this exciting 2 sessions. Is this better?
Yeah.
I repeat. I was saying thank you, Rimjim. Thank you, the panelists. And thank you, all of you, for being here after lunch, with your patience, after the 2 amazing sessions in the morning, to listen to this marketing-led panel discussion. Now we all know that sustainability is a big thing the world over. Everybody is talking about it. We have fair trade. We have Rupa here. It's so great to have fair trade, sustainable experts from across the globe, all sitting here discussing crafts. And that too in a place like Jajpur, which was unknown, honestly, to me, my team, when I told them that I'm going to Jajpur last year for an event. They said, oh, maybe you're mistaken, maybe it's Jaipur. So it wasn't even in the map of things. And 2 years with whatever, the government, the people, the local, the artisans, everybody put together, it's on the map where we have global experts. So thank you from flying across the globe to come here to Jajpur, everybody. COVID, post-COVID, I think we also have to thank COVID for the changes that we've seen now. And everybody world over is talking about sustainability. Thanks to COVID, we have looking at $1 trillion in 2024 just by our industry, the creative manufacturing and handmade industry. So we're all sitting in a very good place. World over, everybody wants handmade products. What makes it tick? How can we leverage the positivity that is existing in this sector right now? How can we leverage that, is what we're going to discuss today in this panel. We have experts. We have Sumita with Rangasutra as the founder and the director. Now, she has done business to business, B2B transactions. So being a supplier to IKEA for years now. And what is it that she did in the handmade sector that made that happen? Then we have Manorat, already introduced, but she is going to be speaking about Okai, where during COVID, they shifted from being just a brand to be a marketplace, to sell the produce of other artisans who had inventories lying with them, who could not go for exhibitions to sell their goods anymore because of COVID. She's going to explain her journey about how did they manage this. And then we have Mrinal, who's going to speak about Kadam Heart as a brand and a direct to customer. What are the challenges and how the growth has happened in the last 2 years? So the first question, I think all three of you, I'm going to be asking related to supply chain, the first question. So IKEA, Sumita, what is the kind of growth in exports you have seen in your business, in your B2B? Which countries are your biggest buyers? And how do you ensure designs remain exclusive for your buyers and don't get copied? And you have 5 minutes to answer.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, so IKEA, yes, but prior to working with IKEA, we were also supplying B2B within India. The IKEA story started actually as a cluster development project in Eastern UP and very specifically focused on women's empowerment. So we worked with training women who did not have much of an experience in craft, but like most Indian women, did some embroidery, did some stitching, etc. So after this project got over, I obviously met IKEA, who was funding the whole project through another entity, and basically said, you know, it's all very well to do all these cluster development projects, but as the largest retailer of home goods in the world, you know, take a chance on us and give us an order, see how it works. And initially there was much laughter, but they did take a chance, and our first order in 2013 was 5,000 pieces, and it was valued around 25-30 lakhs. This is 2013. And there we worked, around 100 artisans were involved in that order. Today, over the last 10-year partnership, today we are shipping this year 800,000 pieces to IKEA, and the number of artisans have increased from 100 to 1,000 who are working on IKEA, and of course their incomes have and the value of the order for us this year, IKEA orders are, I'll say it's 35 crores. But more important, most important is that the artisans' incomes have really increased. Some from 0 to, you know, 10,000, 12,000, whatever, and some less if they were already. So I think that's, there's a big, you know, I mean, we decided that we will walk on this journey together. It took a lot of learning from either side. You asked me about how do we ensure our designs are not copied. You know, you can't really ensure. I think what's important with our IKEA partnership is not the design so much, because we do what is called co-creation with them in product development, but it's the story behind the product. And that story behind the product cannot be copied easily, because it means like many years of solid work to empower artisans, to build that feeling of ownership, and to ensure that they get what is their due. Thank you.
And which are the countries that you're exporting to?
All over. We are exporting to most of Europe through IKEA. It goes to 10 different ports. So most of Europe, United States, parts of Asia, Japan, and Australia, that side also. But most of it goes to Europe.
Thank you so much, Sumita. It is very insightful. I'm sure for others who are wanting to get into the B2B space, you know, there is possibility in India to do this. If Jaipur, and if I'm not mistaken, you're from Jaipur. If Jaipur can do it, Jajpur can also do it. Yeah. So now, Manorat, the question to you is that you went from Okai, from just being a brand selling on your website, you opened it up as a marketplace. So what is the kind of growth trajectory that you saw in this shift to marketplace? It's not really a shift, it's an add-on, yeah.
So during COVID, we pivoted to being a marketplace, and we just took it up without much thought, without realizing that it's a whole other business. It needs a whole other team and a whole other set of. We're still learning actually, and we're still growing in that space. What we did not expect was the amount of growth we saw the year that we became a marketplace. It was a 70% increase in revenue, and which was huge for us, and it in terms of training, workshops across the entire supply chain, because there were a lot of gaps, you know, like artisans were not used to selling on an e-commerce platform. They'd never done that before. They were only making, creating inventories and then going and selling physically through exhibitions. So I think this was not just a huge learning for us, but also all of our partners who came on board who had never done this e-commerce sales before.
Thank you. Because if Okai at some point of time, people would say, oh, we picked up this thanks to Okai. It's thanks to Okai. That Kadam Hart is also on the panel today. Yeah. Mrinal, you are a millennial, or should I call a Gen Z?
Whatever works.
On the cusp, right? So yeah, so Kadam Hart as a brand chose to sell to millennials. Although the handmade is known to be appreciated more in the saris of women with a little bit of silver in their hair, you know, and mostly it's the millennials are not particularly so sensitive to buy just handmade, very few are. So why choose to enter into the millennial market for Kadam Hart as a brand?
Yeah, so Kadam Hart's approach to the, let me take the ball to another level over here. So Kadam Hart's approach to the handicraft sector is totally different. We do not do pity buying or selling. Like, okay, we have to help artisan, so let's try selling. We focus on the customers first, right? And via that method, we empower, we reverse engineer, and we empower the artisans, so that, you know, even the customers do not do pity buying, or the artisans, at the same time, artisans also benefit from the whole cycle. So just like to focus on 4 points the marketing is based on, right? Product, promotion, price, and place. So product, we are pretty confident with our product. We have a whole supply chain facility, we have whole marketing facility, which checks each and every step, right from the forecasting of the inventory, which needs to be dealt with the artisans, to getting in the QC. A thorough QC gets done when we sell to the customers. And even after that, you know, like what we do is we constantly endeavor into getting reverse intelligence from the customers, so that, you know, we ask the customers, what do you want next? Yeah, so that's how basically Kadam Hart works. And coming back to your question, Payal, how do we target millennials? This is the way we target millennials. We do not think of us as a empowering, the Kadam Hart as a empowering, soul empowering artisan brand. That's what, right? Our product, if we are selling into the market, it is damn good as a Myntra or Jabong or whatever marketplace, or any other, like let's say Snitch or Turtle or any other brand which is selling, be it in the handmade sector, be it in the apparel, be it in the bags or whatever accessories. We are pretty competent with the brand, and that is what we portray it to the millennials also. And, you know, speaking from a promotion perspective, we market it as any other digital first brand is marketing. And that's why we have seen a huge, a massive amount of growth, like a 225% growth from 2022 to 2023. And we are forecasting a 600% growth in the upcoming year. So, yeah.
I'd just like to add one point to that. Although we believe that the generation before the millennials are the ones who appreciate craft the most, it's the millennials that capture the e-commerce space the most. So that's the largest buyer in that space. So it automatically gives you an advantage.
So to understand the customer, to answer your question, and to understand the customers who are online buying, which is the millennials, and millennials are extremely functional. Now, what I understand is that they need a problem to be solved. Whatever they buy, they're not into consumerism. They will not collect things because they're pretty. They'll buy because they need a product. And what is their need to understand from the consumer is first step. And to convert it with your product and offer it to the customer at the right price is the second step for your success.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mrinal and Manorat, for this. So the second question, you know, there's an emergence of a lot of artificial intelligence technology now. Since we're talking about digital age, since we're talking about marketing through and supply chains to be managed, plus selling online. So how do various channels, B2B, D2C, and B2C and D2C integrate AI into your systems to solve your back end or front end, to help you with your back end or front end? First question to you. How do you handle your supply chain inventory in B2B's business model?
Yeah, that's quite a challenge, and that's one of the first things I learned when after we started Rangsutra, that the trick is to have the correct amount of inventory. Not too little, not too much, because that's going to either help you fly or sink. So we have actually, experimented with software, different software, and have now got something called ERP Next, which is helping us to track our inventory right from a very long supply chain, because we work with handloom weavers. So that means that we procure yarn, we have to get it dyed, we have to send it to the weaver, then it goes to the tailor for stitching, then it goes to women for embroidery, and across the country. I mean, we work in Rajasthan, we work in Uttar Pradesh and Jammu Kashmir. These are our main 3 areas. Very happy to say that soon we are going to be working in Odisha also, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I think what has really helped us is, this whole spirit of ownership in the company. Like I mentioned, I haven't mentioned, but all our artisans who work with us, or most of them, are shareholders in the company. So they value the raw material that we give them. They see that it's not wasted. They see that it's, used properly, and that the quality of the work is right. So we invest a lot in training artisans. We have a whole cadre of grassroots managers who manage production and quality control on the ground. We've set up production centers in villages so that they don't have to come to a factory somewhere in the city. So in a nutshell, if I may say, Payal, what's really helped us is investing as much, if not more, in the supply chain, so that whether it's training of people, whether it's creating the infrastructure, whether it's quality of the goods sold, as much as, of course, compared to that, we've not spent that much on digital technology. I think we could spend more so that we are able to handle it even more efficiently than we currently do.
Thank you so much, Sumita. So Manorat, the same question to you. How do you handle your supply chain? Especially because it's even more tricky now. You have to sell your own brand with your inventory, plus you are a marketplace, which means you're allowing various artisan groups or designers, designpreneurs or craftpreneurs to sell via your channel with the dropship. So how do you manage the supply chain?
So the supply chain for both these models is different. One, we don't hold inventories for all our partners. It's all digital inventory. So the starting point is completely different. One side we are manufacturing, the other side we are procuring and sourcing the products. Where AI comes here and technology helps us are parts which are common for both. That is customer care, order fulfillment, and post-service, post-purchase. We have a ton of inquiries. AI is used there to answer some of those queries which are very common or which we know that a bot can handle. And we are now also exploring something to fill a big gap, which is photography. Because when we are selling online from 9,000 SKUs through other partners, it's almost impossible for Okhai to do a photo shoot of every product that is listed. But we need good pictures to sell at the end of the day. So we are exploring AI options now to ensure that we have a really good picture that is of a product that might be developed in a village and the artisan might not have access to a photographer or a model or a space to shoot that product. And how do we use AI to be able to promote that product on our website? And that's something we are exploring at the moment as well.
Thank you, thank you. I think that it's interesting to see how handmade, yes, the opportunities that you're bringing to the artisan, he can continue to do what he's making at home, but still the rest of the supply chain at the front for the consumer, the young consumer, he can order at the click of a button and he gets it. So the artisans are, sitting in their homes and enjoying the opportunity because of your AI and other facilities in marketing that you offer.
Yes.
Yeah. So Mrinal, a question to you also, pretty much similar, related. How do you forecast the inventory?
Okay. I would like to start from the question which you asked them. Mrinal, how do you answer this question? How do you manage your supply chain? How do you manage your operations?
Sure.
So, yeah. So, just to keep the audience in check, are we on the same page, guys? Is everyone awake? Yeah. So, a quick question to you. How many of you here think that operations or supply chain is only about Excel or numbers or just IQ? A quick raise of hands. Right, audience, we are on the same page, yes. Supply chain operations is not just IQ or numbers or data, and especially in the unorganized sector as we are in, right? Supply chain, if not equal, EQ over here, the emotional quotient, is as important as the IQ is. So the person who's taking care of your of our operations, of your supply chain, needs to have a well-balanced EQ and IQ. Because, you know, how Kadam Heart works is, right now, honestly, I just came in, I flew down from Calcutta yesterday night, and just about to leave for the airport, I had a quick 2-hour call with my production team, doing a sales forecasting and production planning for the month of April, and with the designer for the month of May and June. So that's how we do our production planning, sales forecasting, and new launches planning. So, you know, it's better to not be at a fire extinguishing situation. Better planning is what we do for Kadam Heart to ensure in terms of IQ, right? And see, forecast is, it can be 90% correct, it can be 100% correct, or it can be like 20%. You know, nothing, there are some things which is not in our hand. So that's when what we do is in order to tackle that delta, right? Let's say we forecasted 100 units to be sold of SKU. Let's say we end up selling 200 SKUs. So this is where EQ comes in, right? You need to have a rapport with your artisans. Listen, boss, your items have done very well, and you need to give me more of so many products to cater to the customers. They are literally waiting for your item, right? And it has, trust me, it has worked every single time. If I personally talk to the artisans, he sends me, he's like, Mrinal, just tell me and I'll deliver to you, right? And on the other way also, right? Let's say we forecasted for 100 units, it doesn't get sold, right? That's me and Manohar were discussing this problem while having lunch. We end up selling half of the number of quantities. That's where we venture, as a D2C brand, we venture into B2B, you know? We promote the delta of the remaining quantities and try to sell it off to either a corporate client or a corporate gifting or whatever. So this is roughly how we manage our operations, supply chain, inventory management. Plus coming to the AI part also, as I told you, Kadam Heart is a digital craft tech first brand, right? we operate with 30 different applications. So, like, you know, we bridge the unorganized sector to the digital first customers. And it does take a lot of applications, right from artificial intelligence to machine learning and everything. So yeah, it's a pretty big circle, but yeah, it's exciting and adventurous.
You want to share some of the application names, the apps that you use for the audience?
Yep, I would like to take the name of ONDC, but yeah, I'm in talks with them for having them on board, probably closing the deal by dinner, on the dinner table today. But yeah, jokes apart, we use 30 different apps, and some of the famous ones are OMS, WMS called Unicommerce, if somebody is a D2C first brand over here. Then we use Zoho applications, Zoho Inventory, Zoho Invoicing. Then we use Contlo. We use Shopify. Our website is based on Shopify. We use MailChimp to send bulk mails to the customers. And yeah, the list is very never ending. I mean, you know, every other day we get a new app, right? So, yeah.
So I think what is interesting is now, because of this D2C e-commerce really picking up, there are a lot of startups in the tech space who are offering as their services as enablers and sometimes free for a couple of months. So, you know, handmade sector can easily avail and connect with them. And I mean, it's a beautiful marriage, believe me, because Kadam Heart has done it. And they're happy.
Yes, definitely.
So the last question is a rapid fire for the three of you. Sumita, if you were not in B2B, sorry, I rephrase it. Would you choose any other channel for marketing other than B2B, and why?
Of course, I choose every other, especially D2C. And why? Because I'm basically a person who is restless, like to try new things, seek new avenues, take some adventure. Also, it's not very good to have all your eggs in one basket. With B2B, you're very, especially B2B exports, you're very dependent on the global market. And D2C, I assume, would give you some, you know, other spaces to operate in.
It's
so
very challenging, believe me. But yeah, okay, so you like challenges. The second one, for your chosen channel, B2B as of now, one strength, one weakness, one opportunity, and one threat.
So the strength is work for so many artisans, regular, and not just work, regular work with proper wages, fair wages, and you know, we don't have to be so bothered about the market. So that's one, the strength. The weakness you asked for one, right? Weakness is that, again, you may get very dependent on one buyer. So also you have to sort of, you know, dance to the tune. So that's the weakness. And the opportunities are a lot. I mean, especially in the global market, I think there's a lot of demand for ethically produced products with a social story, which do not hamper, you know, affect the environment. And the craft sector is a prime example of being good environment-wise. So I think there's huge opportunity globally. And the threat is what I mentioned earlier, that it's, you are, like now, just last year, our shipments to Russia and Ukraine had to stop because of the conflict there. So you get such kinds of threats.
Thank you. Manora, the same question, copy-paste to you.
I think, again, like Sumita mentioned, we'd not like to keep all our eggs in one basket, and I'd love to explore B2B as well as brick and mortar physical stores. And I think that's something we don't really have much of in India. Like I visualize this massive store with like crafts from across the country in all categories, and I think that would be incredible. So something on those lines. I think strengths, the fact that for a B2B marketplaces, that you have a huge catalog of artisanal products available in one place, and that's a huge strength. for a B2B marketplace. Weakness is the quality of products and the depth of inventory is a big challenge because every artisan does not want to have inventory in their warehouse. Sometimes there are quality issues with things, and when people are buying something online, they want a perfect product. So that's a weakness. That's something I think collectively the whole industry needs to work on. Places sector, the craft marketplaces are only a handful, and within that, the artisans who are actually on those marketplaces are even lesser. And there are 2 million artisans across the country, hundreds of groups making beautiful products, so I think there's a huge opportunity there. And a threat is that as we all scale the marketplace business in specifically the craft sector, there is a possibility of inauthentic crafts being marketed through similar channels, and it would be very difficult for brands that are authentic to keep their story in front all the time and to not let these other people who might be backed by capital overtake you. So that's a threat.
Thank you. So it's interesting because B2B wants to be in D2C, B2C wants to be in B2B. So grass is always greener on the other side. Kadam Heart is all about grass.
Yeah, Payal, and for Kadam Heart, the grass is not greener on the other side. If
It's red, pink, yellow.
Yep, if you ask me the same question, Kadam Heart wants to be a D2C brand, and I'm sorry, Manurath, I'm sorry, Sumita, but we would never want to be. So there's this thing called P0, the highest priority thing. Our P0 will always remain D2C. I see ONDC getting happy over there. But yeah, for Kadam Heart, D2C is always going to be priority 0, and B2B or B2C can be priority 1 or priority 2, whatever. So yeah.
Thank you. But yes, so on that note, millennials, if you would know already, the statistics of the Indian market, 34% of our 140 billion people in our country are millennials. And they are the ones who are 99% shopping online. So it's a huge, huge market, even within India, which is ready to be tapped if you have, you've done your supply chain properly, and you have your apps and your technology properly, and you have Okhai, and you have Kadam Heart, and you have us all to support this ecosystem in any which way you want. So thank you guys for this opportunity to talk, to share the various market channels. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause for this insightful session? Well, where are the millennials sitting? I just want them to raise their hands. Yeah. So 34%, like you said. How many of you shop online? I want to know. I'm just very curious to know how many of you like literally shop online. Soumya is again hiding her face. She doesn't shop online. She's a true, window shopping person. Well, okay, let me tell you that even I am a millennial, but I think like there are a lot of things like we have seen that we have actually very little time. We have seen that we have a very little span of time to shop. We cannot go outside and we can shop. So what we are actually saying, like the brands like you, they are doing that. They are creating the essence of art. And let me just tell you the sari, which I'm just wearing it right now. A lot of people have asked me, where did you get it from? Actually, I bought it online. And I have no knowledge about what kind of art, what kind of, print is that. So this is somewhere our millennials are lagging behind. We don't know. We just want, if somebody is looking very classy, somebody is looking very elegant, like we have seen that trend, so beautiful, so elegant, just looking like a wow. So if something is looking, we just want to wear it then only. So I want anybody of you can answer, how can we just create that impact? Like people should go and shop, apart from shopping it online, from the stores.
Mrinal, would you like to answer that question? I'll add 2 bits before he puts his thoughts together. So in Kadam Heart brand, there is a lot of like AI use, what is trending in terms of music, what kind of, so we have in our team data scientists, in Kadam Heart team, they have data scientists who study the algorithm through which they are marketing. So the algorithm, if you're selling through, you running campaigns, marketing campaigns via Google, the algorithm is different. It reaches out to you on your iPhone or on your laptop, whatever, in a very, it will identify through AI that you are the right customer for this. So similarly, so there is a lot of usage of AI, like you mentioned. So to create your ads in a particular way that the algorithm of your marketing partner will understand in terms of Meta, Instagram, Google, or any other. That knowledge is extremely important, and that came in that aspect of apps that they use for this.
I guess Mrinal can answer my question. So my question is, so we have seen like the Gen Z and the millennials, they don't want to go and shop from the stores. And in this generation, we have seen we are people lagging behind. India is a culture. India is a country where we have rich culture, heritage, diversity. We have seen a lot of art, from kalamkari to we have a lady who is talking about Pattachitra. But somebody like, I am from a journalism background. I don't know what kind of arts are present. So how once, like being a brand, how you educate the youngsters, the millennials about the brand, what they do and what kind of art and craft you guys are promoting? That is my main question actually.
Yep, so to answer your question is, if you're running a D2C brand, Payal might be able to relate, at some point of the other, you have to become a content creator. There's no denying from this fact, right? And operating with Facebook, operating with Google, Facebook, in fact, Meta. So there's a term called customer acquisition cost. CAC bolte hum jo usko. So the way to, from a brand perspective, I'm saying is, in order to not depend on the CAC, we all have to, some at point of the other, we all have to become content creators. And I'm telling you, if you provide the competent product, the best product, at the best price, at the competent price, at the right time, and you market the correct audience, correct? Let's say Manorat was talking about involving AI into speeding up the picture listing process, right? So this is the correct way, right? If you involve all these factors, and you have to, the selling becomes so easier, in fact. And you have to constantly, like me, as the head of business operations of Kadam Art, I am so active on LinkedIn, I'm so active on Instagram, I'm so active on all my, wherever I go, I walk the talk, right? Constantly educating the customer anywhere and everywhere possible. And so it becomes a lot of easier if the customer knows about the product. So the problem with the Indian consumer is they don't know what to buy. And we as a brand have to communicate, have to educate, and then they're like, okay, cool. They're even ready to pay double the amount sometimes, right? So when we go out of stock, and some customers are like, I want it, I'm leaving for US, I want it in 2 days, I really like your product. So, they literally want the product, and once they have the trust, once they have the idea, okay, it is handmade, it's authentic. So it becomes a lot easier.
One is to understand the problem that you have and to offer that in terms of a campaign as to this is your problem, this is how we are solving it for you. And then once you receive the product, wow, it is handmade, and wow, it has this, and this has come from this, and it's made of this material. So all those handmade factors become wow factors after the problem that you have has been solved. Yeah.
So thank you so much. Can we have a round of applause for the wonderful panelists here on stage? Now the time for the felicitation of our panelists. I request our moderator, Payal Nath ma'am, to please do the honors. So first, we'd like to felicitate Sumita Ghosh, founder and director, Rangsutra. Can we have a round of applause for Sumita ma'am? I request Payal ma'am to please felicitate Sumita Ghosh ma'am. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Can we have a round of applause? Next, we'd like to felicitate Manora Dhillon, CEO Okai. Mrinal Jain, Head of Business Strategy and Operations, Kadam Hath. And let me take this profound honor to felicitate Payal Nath, Founder Kadam, the moderator for the session. For the group picture. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all the panelists. Well now, ladies and gentlemen, we are quickly starting with the next session, as this session will be a virtual panel discussion and it will be moderated by Soumya Kulshresht. So I request all of you to please be here. It will be happening virtually because there are eminent speakers who are joining us from across the globe and different parts of the world, of course. So let me take this honor. Can we just have on the stage Soumya Kulshresht, writer, poet, educator, public speaker, and communication specialist for this session? Come on, everybody. Can we have a round of applause for Soumya? She's a very good speaker, I must say.
Guys, since the last thing we heard was about how all of us invariably become content creators, I'm not even qualifying. हम सभी किसी तरह के content creators बन जाते हैं. So very happy to share with you that this time ICSJ is also active across all platforms. If it is not too much, if you still do not follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter, please take out your phones and just search for us. And please follow us, it will mean a lot. And just help the word reach as far across as possible. We'll just give a second for the stage to be set up and we'll start with this session. Also, please tag any stories, anything that you are putting out. Please tag ICSJ_Craft Summit.
Well, I can see there are a lot of millennials and Gen Z. How many of you are Gen Zs actually, the people who are born after 2000? Oh my God, there are a lot of them. I just want to know how many of you have more than 10,000 followers on Instagram? And you said that you're not invariably qualified, so Soumya is raising her hand. So how many of you have more than 10,000 Instagram followers? I just want to know what kind of content you actually post. How many of you have? Nobody have more than 10,000 followers. Okay. More than 5,000? 5,000? Oh, we have some of them. What do you guys do on Instagram? How you use it? How you use the platform? Social content. What kind of content you post, like about your art?
We do like some of the fashion content and also like the daily vlogs on
Daily
YouTube
vlogs.
as well.
And we have seen that vlogging has taken over a pace. Everybody want to know that what everyone is doing from the time they wake up till the time they sleep. Okay. And what other people do? What you guys have? What do you do on Instagram?
I generally post self-portraits and travel and lifestyle content.
Okay, so it's a request, everybody do follow our page, like as Soumya mentioned, ICSJ on Instagram, because we are active on all the platforms. And you have seen that even our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is promoting digitalization, and we all want to, you know, be digitally advanced. So we want everybody to do follow us on all the platforms. And please do tag us with the beautiful pictures. So as I mentioned that this panel discussion will be on a virtual I guess it will be a virtual panel discussion. So our moderator will be here, but there will be an eminent speakers. The panelists will be joining us from different parts of the world. So let me introduce you with them till the time the setting is happening. So the topic will be building bridges, weaving cultural dialogues through crafts. So this will be the topic for the session, building bridges, weaving cultural dialogues through crafts. The session places focus on UNESCO Creative Cities Network and its role in shaping the global landscape for creative urbanism. Representatives from various cities will share experiences, insights, and expertise on the dynamic interplay between creativity and community development. They will also shed light on the multifaceted approaches employed to promote creativity and celebrate cultural heritage, while actively contributing towards the prosperity and well-being of the local community. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to introduce the panelists for this session. We'll have Stijn Debelly. He is from Belgium, the coordinator at Design Regio. Mr. Stijn Debelly has been strengthening Design Regio Kortrijk since 2012 as a driving force behind joining a UNESCO Creative Cities Network as a city of design. He actively embraces international opportunities, leading the coordination of UNESCO Creative Cities of Design worldwide from 2020 to 2023, including partnership with Detroit and Wuhan. So, Stijn, can you hear me? So he's Stijn. Can we have a round of applause for Stijn? Next we'll have Pamela Burnside, Nassau, West Indies, co-founder Creative Nassau. Pamela Burnside, co-founder Creative Nassau in the Bahamas, bring over 16 years of dedicated leadership as a manager at Dungalik Studios. Then we'll have Francis Sokomba, Bida, Nigeria. He's a visual artist. Francis Sokomba is a renowned visual artist and consultant for the Niger State Ministry of Culture and Tourism as the acting Director General of Tourism Corporation of Niger State. He plays a pivotal role in promoting cultural heritage. So we have Francis Sokomba here. Then we'll have Poppy Jarrett from Perth, Scotland, UNESCO Project Coordinator, Perth and Kinross Council. As UNESCO City of Craft and Folk Art Project Coordinator in Perth, Poppy collaborates with diverse partners, fostering innovative initiatives for the local creative community. And of course, the wonderful moderator for the session, Soumya Kulshresht. Can we have a round of applause for the moderator for this session? The writer, poet, educator, public speaker, and communication specialist, has passionately promoted poetry as an art that everyone can grasp and connect with across various workshop classes and events.
Thank you. Thank you, Rimjim. I believe, can you all hear us? Is our voice reaching you? I don't think so. We're sorting that, I believe. One of the things that I want to tell you is there are 8 people in the audience who heard my request because I have 8 more followers on my Instagram, as in ICSJ_Craft Summit. But it'll be really cool if you can really give us a follow, talk about us, post some nice stories so that the voice reaches more people, as many as possible. We are still sorting the audio issue. Like Rimjim informed you, these will be more than a panel discussion. Please consider this session as a learning exchange where we will get to hear from 4 different UCCN cities and presentations about their journey, about their experience and what it took to become a UCCN network city. Are we able to hear us? Okay. Anyone, Stijn, are you able to hear my voice? Anyone, Stijn, Francis, Poppy, can you try unmuting yourself if my voice is reaching you? Stijn, can you say hi to the audience? Can you speak? All right, we are not able to hear Stein. Some technical hassle, Stein. Now I believe you can hear us, but we still cannot hear your voice. We are just sorting this.
Happy, you should
Yes.
unmute.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I believe all of us can hear you now. So without further ado, I believe I would like to begin this discussion with Stein. Stein, hello, and hello from Jajpur, hello from Odisha, hello from India. And you are the coordinator at the Design Regio for Kortrijk, which is in Belgium. And we would love to know about your city and your experience as a creative city. This is the City of Design as a part of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. So let's hear from you. Over to Stein. Stein, we would love to hear your presentation now.
Okay, I will share it. Yes. Voilà. Can you see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Happy to be in Jaipur digitally. Thank you so much for this kind invitation. I'm sorry I cannot make it in person, but I'm very proud that I can present our city and our organization to you, the public. So let me give you a brief introduction on who we are and what we do, and I hope it can inspire you. So at Design Regio Kortrijk, we have a mission to design better futures, and we do that by matching creative talent with everybody here in the city and in the region. And if you would be wondering, and I'm very it's a very good network to exchange, to learn from each other. So to give you some examples or to give you a view on who we are and how big the city is. So can I just maybe ask Bindu to mute the microphone because this. Thank you. So we are a small-scale city, so only 80,000 inhabitants in the city. In the larger region, we are about 300,000. So the city and the region are part of this organization I represent. So the UNESCO designation is not only performed by the city, but it's actually performed by a whole collaboration. And these we call a quadruple helix collaboration because we have public institutions, private companies, and also academic, educational institutions and the larger public in place. So the public institutions are represented by the city and the region, Intermunicipal Leedal. It's a collaboration of 13 municipalities here in the region. Then the private companies and the creatives, they are represented by the Chamber of Commerce, VOCA West Flanders, and also an exhibition and venue center, Kortrijk Expo. And then we have two institutions in our organization, West University College and Ghent University, which has a campus here in the city. So they are part of the board of directors actually of the organization. So we are a river city. The river runs through our city, and this has brought actually a lot of prosperity. Because we are very well connected to other cities in not only Europe. So we're very well connected to Paris, Frankfurt. Via Basel, we can get connected. And via Frankfurt, we are connected with the Black Sea. So this has brought a lot of prosperity to our city. We also have very good academic institutions. For example, the Bachelor Industrial Product Design of the University College West. It was ranked as the second best of the world by rookies last year. So we're very proud of that. And we also have a lot of manufacturing companies in this area. producing companies that are active in very diverse fields. It can be interior or exterior machine building, but we also work a lot with these companies to help them innovate by bringing them together with designers. But I'll tell you a little bit more of that later. Our biggest event in the year is the Wonder Creativity Festival. It always runs in October, and this is when we showcase the best of creativity and design from the city and the region to a big audience. Last year we had 11,000 visitors, which is quite a large number for our scale. These are some figures, but I would like to say something about the scale of the city. So we're rather small, but this has enormous advantages because everybody knows each other. And if you want to set up a new collaboration with somebody, you just pick up your phone. It's very easy to talk to somebody. I can just text the mayor, for example, of the city, and he will text me back. I can call with the dean of the university. So there's so many possibilities because we all know each other. And this is very nice environment to work in. So with our organization, what we do is that we stimulate design thinking in different projects for people, society, and for planet. And at this moment, we currently work a lot on the circular economy, on digitalization, and on social innovation. I will give you specific examples a little bit later, but we have actually two types of projects. One type is matchmaking and support. So we bring people together, we bring companies together with designers, the municipality together with designers to create new products, new services, new projects. And on the other side, we do a lot of community building and exposure. So we show what has been created here to bring a positive vibe around that. And we work with, how are we fighting? Product. Whereas Design Drive, another project, is also collaboration between a company and a designer. But here the designer makes a new product for the company and that is ready to bring into the market. And this is really targeted to SMEs. We have a lot of SMEs and family-owned businesses in this area. This is for SMEs who don't have the network of the designers. So when they want to innovate with a designer, they can come to us and then we can help them to find. Project was originated from an earlier program 5x5 in which we had 5 companies, 5 designers that worked together on 5 new products. They were then shown in an exhibition, and we've implemented this project not only here in Kortrijk but also in Kaunas in Lithuania in the north of Europe. And that's really cool because this is thanks to the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. You meet cities that are in need of a certain expertise. We have it, so we share it with them. And the project was so good that even our king and queen and the president of Lithuania and the first lady, they came to visit the results of this collaboration. So we're kind of proud of that. We also set up workshops to help companies identify how they can work in a circular way. This is together, for example, with the university that we set this up. We have also projects in which we help to identify the potential of the waste of a manufacturing business, what they can do with this waste and how they can make new products from this. This is done within the Circular Co-Creation Hub. Since we have a lot of manufacturing companies, we also have a lot of machine builders in this area. And we are helping them now to shift from the business model from making a machine and selling it to the client, from making a machine and leasing it out to the client. So making a circular business model. And to do so, we connect them with designers, design thinkers, experts to make this shift to a new business model. We're also active in this textile project, but I'll shift to that. So the projects that I've mentioned now are really focusing on manufacturing, but we also have a lot of retail in this area. But we didn't have the expertise on how to connect a retailer, a shop owner, with a designer. So, but we found this expertise in Detroit and Montreal. They are also UNESCO Creative Cities of Design, and they shared with us their expertise and experience on it. And then we made our own project of it. It's called Design in Shops, and there we are helping a retailer connected to a designer to make the space of the shop better, to increase the experience, and to create more turnover, of course. We recently also had a project with an elderly home, and there we connected a design team to the elderly home to make the process of the inhabitants, so the old people, choosing their meal, actually to make it better, because now it was a very administrative process on paper, and now it's actually semi-digitalized. We also have a residency program for young designers. And then for the part of the community building and exposure, some examples here are our design kiosk. It's a glass box that is in the center of the city. And every month we give this glass box to a company. They can present themselves in it. But to do the presentation, we connect them with a young designer to make it a creative and innovative presentation. It brings a lot of exposure to the company. Another nice and cool project is the K-Totem. It's like a restraint sculpture that is situated at a station here in the city. And we give this sculpture every 3 months to another graphic designer, and they can put their design on the sculpture as they want. In this way, we give exposure to creative people, to the graphic designers in our city. And the cool thing is that we have duplicated the K-Totem, and there's also one already in Kaunas, which is obvious because their city also starts with the K. But you see that there's a lot of collaboration between the cities in our Design City network. Another example is the collaboration we did with Geelong earlier or last year. So we visited Geelong in March in 2023, and there we visited the Geelong Tech School, and we set up this idea that the students of this tech school, they designed images to be projected on our Belfry Tower during the Wonder Creativity Festival. So this was really cool for our inhabitants to see the results of students from Australia, other part of the world, during the festival. And then we have like network events like Design Drinks and Talks for young designers. We have summits and conferences where we give voice to young designers or companies. We have the Creativity Summit, it's also a type of conference. We also take our network of entrepreneurs, designers, architects, even the mayor. We take them along every year on a 3-day inspiration trip. Last year we went to Dundee in Scotland to see examples of other cities, how they use design to create a better city. And as last project, we have our Buddha Lab. It's a fabrication laboratory, or Fab Lab, where children and also elderly people can make stuff with 3D printers and laser cutters. So this is this very short story of Design Regio Kortrijk. I would say thank you so much for letting me express and join or share with you our activities. This is my team. They are very open for collaboration. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me after the conference. We will be happy to connect with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stein. It was a short presentation, but it was very, very inspiring. So many ideas there to propel our thinking into the correct direction, into the correct space. You can't hear us?
I can't hear you.
Hello? Can you hear us? Yeah. No, I was just saying, Stein, it was a short presentation, but it was very, very effective, very inspiring, and all the nuggets of information that you had so nicely brought together for all of us. There was a lot of learning that we will certainly take back from here. Thank you so much. Perfect. And my name is not Ekant, my name is Soumya. I'm just displayed as Ekant. Okay, we will now move towards Pamela, who's the co-founder of Creative Nassau in the Bahamas, and who brings over 16 years of dedicated leadership as a manager at an art gallery. Pamela, without any further ado, I gave this stage to you and to Creative Nassau to learn about your journey, your learnings, and your experiences.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to address you today. Next slide. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. As you may know, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, a small island developing state with 700 islands in the sun, touted by NASA astronaut Scott Kelly as the most beautiful place from space, is well known around the world as a tourism destination. This short presentation is about my country's culture and creativity, and it is centered around the purpose and passion of the people and the determination and drive for development and sustainability. Next slide. My late husband, Jackson Burnside. Can we have the next slide, please? Who was an architect, artist, and cultural advocate, made a prediction that by the year 2020, more visitors will come to the Bahamas because of its art, culture, and heritage rather than merely for its sun, sand, and sea. As cultural entrepreneurs, we made it our mission to bring this to fruition by promoting Bahamian art, culture, and heritage for decades, slowly inching forward one small step at a time. Next slide, please. In 2008, we attended the first UNESCO Creative Tourism Conference in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and returned home with the drive and determination to apply for membership as a creative city of crafts and folk art in the prestigious UNESCO Creative Cities Network. It was a formidable task to achieve without any government assistance, but we were successful in December 2014. Next slide. Creative Nassau has since continued with this small team of only 4 working members to position Bahamian art, culture, and heritage on the global stage. Our main thrust has been focused on our Bahamian craft industry with straw, which has been a part of our heritage for centuries, going back to the slave trade. Next slide. There are 2 facets connected to this industry. Straw plaiting, which is connected to our British heritage, with the Eleutheran adventurers arriving to the Bahamas by Bermuda, and straw weaving, which can be traced back to our African roots, coming to the Bahamas through the Middle Passage via the Carolinas in the United States, and also through the Black Seminole migration from Florida. Next slide. Bahamian straw has dominated our social and economic livelihood for centuries, moving many families out of poverty over the years, as discussed in the Bahamian Straw documentary we produced in 2015. However, the modern-day younger Bahamian, unfortunately, does not hold this industry in high regard. Creative Nassau is intent on correcting this imbalance and is focused on returning the industry to its rightful place as a harbinger of sustainable development. Next slide. Our membership in the UNESCO Creative Cities Network has assisted us greatly in this regard, since the purpose is to promote and share knowledge around the world and to provide opportunities to expose the works of our artisans. We have achieved this internationally by attending and exhibiting at our conferences, as well as at other international fairs that you can see here. Next slide. Locally, we have held markets where the artisans have the opportunity to sell their crafts, such as this market downtown in one of the main squares, as well as on the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort property. Next slide. We also participate at local fairs and art exhibitions, and we hosted a Creative Nassau weekly radio show. We curate showcase exhibits at the international airport for visitors to see the craft. and we send out a monthly newsletter. A much-needed e-commerce portal is being actively discussed now for the artisans to sell their products globally. Next slide. By making art, culture, and heritage the driving force of the tourism engine, and by using the skills of our phenomenally gifted people, we are who are the unique keepers of these elements. Major positive impacts can once again be made in the country, both socially, physically, and also economically. Next slide. UNESCO's model of creative tourism promotes the orange economy, the power of monetizing the arts for development. This free ebook, produced by the Inter-American Development Bank, or the IDB, can be downloaded online. It is extremely user-friendly and clearly demonstrates why its message is so relevant and immediate. Next slide. Education is also a crucial component, and we collaborate with the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute to offer straw plaiting and weaving classes to the general public in order to keep the traditions alive. We participate in many speaking engagements locally and abroad, and I thank you for this opportunity today. And we have published information in several international journals. Next slide. Because the main raw materials used for this craft is grown locally throughout various islands in the archipelago, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the multi-agency project to ensure that the forest on various islands throughout the Bahamas where the straw palms grow are protected, and we assist with training and promotional programs for the artisans there.
Thank Tomba, I request you to take the mic now and give us a tour of Bida, the city of crafts and folk art. Francis? Is on a tour.
Okay, the audio is cutting. We're from the strong background of cultural heritage. First of all, let me introduce Bida to you. Bida is a city, ancient city in Numpe Kingdom. Numpe is a tribe in Nigeria. And Bida existed right from the 11th century with a lot of heritage arts. It's in the same the craft of Bida to you. We are known as a creative people and also technically contributed by the city of Ballarat, and we are working with, in collaboration with Creative Knowledge Foundation in Carrara, and also with Santa Fe, New Mexico. And just about 2 days ago, we were able to collate our documents of the funds we circulated for the artist survey. Right now, we have about 1,000 plus, 1,002 artists being registered. We are still expecting the funds that we have shared since last year to return to us, and so that we can have an authentic list of the artists, and we can have them in different fields which Bida is known for. So introduction of Bida art, we have a glass art, that's Masaga glass. We have Bongo Fu brass. We have Emibagba wood carvers, the Maranti hand embroidery, the Jekpa hand looms, fabric weavers, Dokoza Swata blacksmith. We also have Shimini wood carvers and Swatamoku aluminium work. So we have diverse craft being practiced in Bida for a very, very long time, and is still in existence today. I will talk shortly about the glass work in Bida. The glass work in Bida, history has it that they migrated from Egypt to Bida. And one surprising thing is that before the coming of the European bottle to Nupe land, Bida has been manufacturing glass. The Masaga produced raw glass before the coming of the European glass bottle into Bida in the late 19th centuries. The glass makers migrated from Egypt and settled in Masaga in Bida. They have the knowledge of glass making using primary raw material called the bikini to produce glass before working to produce the final stage, which is the secondary production of glass, while the glass is fashioned into figurines. The secret of knowledge of primary glass production, that is the bikini glass, is still preserved with the Masaga glass workers till date. The most common glass production being practiced now in Masaga is the recycling of glass bottles. Broken glass are recycled to form figurines. But the seamless glass bracelet technology of Masaga is identical to the Celtic seamless glass bracelet production, practiced thousands of years ago. Most scholars thought that this technology has gone extinction, but it was just discovered recently that it's being practiced in Bida, although it was a little bit halted for about 60 years in Bida. But luckily enough, we had somebody who has a living museum who was able to retain the heritage and was able to transmit it for proper documentation just of recent in the year 2019-15. So the seamless glass bracelet production is being practiced still in Bida. And that is why at this summit it's important for us to draw your attention to that technology which has existed over 1,000 years ago and need to be properly documented. And we need scholars, craft scholars, institutions to look at that and see how they can advance it further and get a proper documentations of it. The natives still preserve the secret of making the bikini, because the bikini is like the raw materials which have to be produced in the primary production fireplace workshop. Once that is achieved, we now move to the next production stage, which is the secondary production, to fashion the bikini into images, into utilitarian objects. And the most important thing is the secret of making bikini. The natives are still retaining the secret, and which I think the world has not properly done a documentation concerning that. It is therefore necessary at this summit for the craft expert institutions and global community to consider to designate the Masaga glass in times of restoration grants, recognition, and find a way to encourage the glass workers to preserve the heritage knowledge. From the survey information we have right now before us, the glass producer are barely 17 people in Bida, which in the past used to be over 500. And the highest glass producer and the highest craft being practiced in Bida today is the blacksmith. And we know the reason why blacksmith is still in high demand is because of most of the tools for making handmade crafts has to be fashioned by the blacksmiths. And so it is also very important to note that the glass workers also rely on the blacksmith to fashion the tools for them that they are going to use for their production. From here, let me also introduce some other crafts which being practiced in Bida. I thought the slide would be on, but I can't find the slides. Maybe you people have seen the slides, my slides, but I can't find them on the screen. From the slides, the brass is there. The brass workers also existed for a very long time in Bida. We had a collaboration this year with the city of Jinchu on a traditional craft Banelli. We were there to exhibit a brass product from Bida, which was fashioned by a craft, an handmade craft. Most of the tools in Bida are still practiced in the local way up to this moment. And other crafts in Bida are the aluminium, which is also similar to the brass production. The Magnati embroidery is a little bit going extinction, but we are trying to see how we can revive it. That has to do with traditional dyeing techniques of the old Numpe kingdom. That has to do with also the war garment, because the Numpe produced the war garment they use just like the bulletproof, traditional bulletproof, which they use. And we have some fantastic designs on them. And then the Shimini wood carvers. The Shimini, there are two communities in Bida practicing wood carving, wood art, which is the Emi Bagba wood carvers and the Shimini wood carvers. And the Shimini wood carvers migrated from a community across the river Niger, which is called the Ladi, and settled in Bida. And they do the traditional door carving, engraving on the doors, which has a lot of rich folklore and stories. And in the past, since documentations were not done on the papers, it's really done on the objects in the Nupe land. So the doors you see in the Nupe land has inscriptions of a storyline of what existed, what experience they had in the past, and that is how it's been preserved. And one of the things that the carvers has achieved in Nupe land is the stool, the seated stool. It's like a chair which has a stool of about 6 legs, 12 legs, which are prestigious, and is only used in the past by those with the spiritual powers, and also with those at the nobles in the society. And that is being practiced up to today in Nupe land. And then we have the weavers. The weavers are still practicing the raffia weaving within the community, and I've done so much on that. Craft in Bida has been existing for a very long time, and I still kept in contact up to today. In the area of folklore, we have people with outstanding history of folklore in the Nupe land. We have the traditional barbers, which we call the Gozans, and it has a spiritual heritage which they have been able to preserve for a long time. We also have festivals, which is called the horse riding festival, traditional horse riding festival. It's called Doba. It's widely practiced in Nupe land, and of recent we are planning to have another festival which we tag as Creative Craft Connections within the cycle of the craft people. With these few expressions, I will like to thank the organizations of this summit once again for the opportunity they have given Bida as the first UNESCO creative city in Nigeria to express themselves in this summit. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francis. Actually, the pleasure is ours. You took us through such a rich tapestry of crafts that come from Bida that it was like a full cultural immersion that we experienced throughout your presentation. Thank you so much. And for our last presentation for the day, we go to another UNESCO city of craft and folk art, which is Perth, being represented by Poppy Jarrett. Poppy, over to you. Let's tour your city now.
Hi, I'm just making sure that everything's on full screen. Can you hear me okay? I'll just start. Hi, thank you so much for having me today. I'm absolutely delighted to be able to attend and engage. I'm the project coordinator for Perth's UNESCO City of Craft designation. Just to give a bit of an introduction to Perth, Perth is located in the heart of Scotland. The population of the region is about 151,000, but the population of Perth City is only 50,000. So that means that 2/3 of residents are considered to live rurally. 36% of the residents in the region face economic challenges, with 6.2% being in Scotland's most deprived index. 70% of Scotland's population are within a 90-minute journey of Perth City by car. And Perth City itself is only 28 square kilometres, so it is very small, but the region is over 5,000 square kilometres, so it is one of Scotland's largest. Perth is 45 minutes from Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland, and that's about a 1-hour journey by car. And it's roughly 450 miles from London, England, which is about 6 hours by train. Perth's bid to be a UNESCO Creative City was submitted in 2021, while Scotland was still under COVID-19 restrictions. In November 2021, Perth was officially designated. The new Perth Museum will open its doors in spring of this year, which we're really excited about. It is a world-class cultural and heritage attraction, which will highlight the fascinating objects and stories that put Perth and Kinross at the centre of Scotland's story. Due to the designation's launch during the COVID-19 pandemic and the extremely busy lead up to the opening of the museum, there's been limited capacity and resource to embed the designation within Perth. I actually only began my role on Monday of this week, and my entire role is focused on the designation, so there's lots of plans to be made. I think it's really important to note that each and every UNESCO Creative City is unique and it's structured depending on facilities available, capacity, economic and political factors. There are 4 UNESCO Creative Cities in Scotland now, and I'll quickly touch on a couple of them. So we've got Edinburgh, who actually approached UNESCO to be the first UNESCO Creative City 20 years ago now. We've got Glasgow, who are a UNESCO City of Music, and we've got Dundee, who are the UK's first and only UNESCO City of Design. This designation is really special to me as I worked for this small but mighty team for almost 6 years, with my last day being last Friday. Dundee's designation is a partnership. The team are employed by a trust of the City Council and hosted by V&A Dundee, the city's design museum, and they're also governed by the local universities, municipality, as well as local charities. This partnership means that the designation is embedded right across the city's cultural sphere, and over the 10 years of the designation, it has been embraced by the city, by the design sector, I'm very new, not new to the Creative Cities Network. So I'm situated within Perth and Kinross Council, and now that I'm in post, we have the capacity to push the designation forward, and we'll be looking to Dundee as well as to the Craft Network and the wider UNESCO Creative Cities Network. So Perth's approach to craft. Craft is a really inclusive term which encompasses skilled makers and creators and artists, practitioners of all sorts. Craft includes all forms of making, from traditional Scottish crafts such as weaving and wood turning, right to modern crafts such as gin making using contemporary techniques. In Perth, we think that craft is a wide and varied term. To make something in your own method and style and way is to be a craftsperson of Perth. So the potential for community building is really vast. In a new designation, it's easy to forget that you aren't starting from scratch, while the shiny new title of the designation brings potential new avenues for funding and collaboration and growth. These designations are built on a history of creativity and a foundation of existing creative people, networks, and organizations. A UNESCO Creative Cities designation is not a starting block. It's a way of corralling existing activity. It's a larger platform for existing and future projects. It's a method of joining up people and places and projects to align priorities and growth. And it's a key to an international symbiotic network where the city can be celebrated and the network's collective knowledge can be harnessed. So for my first few months in post, I just want to take a brief look at some of my priorities. The first is the UNESCO Scotland Trail. This was launched in 2021, and the initiative is a world first, bringing together all of Scotland's various UNESCO designations, from biospheres and World Heritage Sites to UNESCO Creative Cities, all in one handy information trail with sustainable travel options and itineraries. The trail was actually launched the month before UNESCO announced Perth's designation. So currently Perth isn't included in the trail, but I've already begun working on getting the trail updated to include Perth. In the 16th century, Perth was known as Craft Town due to its location in the heart of Scotland and its bountiful natural resource. It was a melting pot of communities and people who were able to make all kinds of craft. So Perth Museum will be filled with some of these items and profiling these stories through the lens of the designation while embedding the local residents and creating opportunities for makers. It's the perfect fit for a designation. And also, a designation is a commitment. The city commits to working towards UN Sustainable Development Goals and also to the sustainable development of culture and creativity within the city, ensuring that craft is embedded in the city decisions and it makes sure that local communities and makers have a seat at the table. As a new designation, it's brilliant to have an established network of over 50 cities to take guidance from. In my previous role at UNESCO City of Design Dundee, we replicated 2 projects from UNESCO City of Design Montreal, which became core projects to the designation's work. We benefited the local community, and it also built a strong and successful relationship between Dundee and Montreal. So I'm really excited to get to know the craft network better and to see where those opportunities for collaboration are. So that's just a really quick snapshot of the approach to design, to designation and community building. Thank you so much for your time. I'd love to hear from anyone who has any ideas or anything that I've talked about today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Stop
Poppy.
sharing.
Yes. Thank you, Poppy, for the presentation, and thank you to all of our guests for being so open to sharing everything that was a part of their journey of becoming a UNESCO creative city. It was a pleasure to host you virtually at the International Craft Summit, Jajpur, and hopefully we will host you in person someday. Thanks a lot. Thanks for sharing. I request the audience members to please put your hands together for what this session was like and for all the wonderful insights that were brought to the fair. Hopefully we will remain in touch and we will collaborate and we will network, and may creativity thrive. May urbanization thrive with a dash of creativity involved. Thank you so much. Over to you, Rim Jim. I close this session now.
Thank you so much, Soumya, and all the wonderful panelists. Come on, everybody, can we have a round of applause once again? And I can see there are many people who just went somewhere. Where are they? Where are the rest of the audience? We are waiting for them to join. So we'll be starting up with the next panel discussion at 4:30 sharp. So it's 4:25. We'll be starting up with the next panel discussion in next 5 to 10 minutes. So the next panel discussion will be yet a very interesting panel discussion. It's going to be on the topic, a tapestry of trust, exploring the landscape of authentication system in crafts. So I request everyone to please come back, all the people, everybody, and let's gear up for the next session. So all the members here, all the friends, I request everyone to please come and take their seats because we are about to start with the next and the last session for the day one. We are waiting for a few more people to join. I request the people who are outside, they are requested to please be inside. I know they cannot hear me, but I request any of you, if your friends are outside, please call them inside because this is one of the last session for the evening and we are gearing up. We want everybody to please come here and listen to the last panel discussion, and yet it will be a very informative and insightful session. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're excited and get up for the last session, the session 5th for the day. And the topic will be a tapestry of trust, exploring the landscape of authentication systems in crafts. So I request everyone, we are here for the International Craft Summit at Jajpur, Odisha. We want everybody to please come inside. Please do call your fellow teammates, your colleagues to please come inside, take their respective seats, then we'll begin with the panel discussion. Well, our panelists are ready, our moderator is ready. Where are the audience? Okay, can you just do one thing? Can the people sitting at the back, they can come at the front and take the front seats? Can we do that, please? All the people at the back, please come and take the front seats here. You can just start taking the first and then second row maybe. So ladies and gentlemen, now we are quickly starting up because we are running strict to the timeline. So the topic for the panel discussion will be a tapestry of trust, exploring the landscape of authentication systems in crafts. Authentication and certification plays an important role within the crafts sector, standing as a formidable tools in fortifying the market of creative entrepreneurs. The session aims at unearthing insights on authenticity and certification, not just as safeguards for a creative enterprise, but also a driving force to propel ventures to newfound heights in a competitive market landscape. The discussions between panel experts will deep dive into the transformative influence of authentication, reshaping the craft sector, fostering innovation and securing prosperous future for artisans and their unique creations. Well, I hope you all are ready. If you all are ready, can we just see the hands up in the air? Can we just do that? Come on. Come on, everybody. If you all are ready, can we just start with the next panel discussion? I can see there are some of the mediocre students. They are here only. So the people who are actually, who wants to learn, who wants to, get some information, they are here. That's so nice. To all the students of, I guess they all are from NIFT, right? You all are from NIFT, Bhubaneswar. Wow. So can we have a round of applause for the NIFT Bhubaneswar students? They are so good. Like they're so attentive throughout the whole session. So NIFT Bhubaneswar, thank you so much. And where are the other students, I want to know? And where are the backbenchers of the classes? So NIFT Bhubaneswar, please do call all of the students inside because this is the last session and I know you all must be feeling hungry or maybe sleepy, but let me tell you, this will be the most informative session. Well now, without any further ado, let me call upon on the stage the moderator for the session, Meenu Chopra, Executive Director, AIACA. Come on everybody, can we have a round of applause for Meenu Chopra? Meenu Chopra is a development professional with over 2 decades of experience in managing organizations and enabling organizational growth. She has been instrumental in supporting the strategic direction of large-scale social and sustainable development programs. Having worked with Fair Trade, she brings with her an experience of working with craftpreneurs across India and has a sectoral experience in the field of sustainable livelihoods, enterprise development and fair trade. We welcome you, ma'am, on the behalf of International Craft Summit. Now, next we'd like to call the panelists for the day. We have Rupa Mehta, CEO, Sasha, President, AIACA, President, WFTO. We welcome you, ma'am. Rupa Mehta is the CEO of Sasha Association for Craft Producers and the Secretary of Sarba Shanti Ayog, SSA. It's Associate Development Organization. Sasha and SSA provides business supports, inputs, and market access for sustainable livelihoods to artisan groups based largely in rural communities and semi-urban areas. She is on the board of Sadhana, the Handicrafts and Income Augmentation Program of Seva Mandir, Udaipur, and the Managing Trustee of Ruro Agro Services Association. We welcome you, ma'am. Well, is it time to call upon the next panelist? So the next panelist is Mr. Badri Nath. So just go, let me just get, come on everybody, can we have a round of applause for Mr. Badri Nath? With over 15 years of experience in the offline and online consumer retail space, Badri Nath Mishra envisions democratizing e-commerce via ONDC and currently serves as a vice president in the network expansion vertical. He had been instrumental in driving business strategy and growth across a diverse portfolio of fashion, FMCG, home electronics in organizations such as Vestige, Snapdeal, Fab India prior to ONDC. We welcome you, sir, on the behalf of ICSJ. Last but not the least, let me call upon on stage Anurag Rana, founder trustee, Mon Emmy Foundation. Anurag has over 23 years of experience in the business skills, training and product development in the rural sector and among the marginalized section of society. She has been working with low-income workers, imparting training and design inputs in order to help them develop contemporary products. This endeavor has taken her to artisans in Himachal, Rajasthan, Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Kerala and Karnataka. Her recent project at Mon Emmy Foundation involves training women in the rural urban pockets around Delhi, NCR region to develop vegetable dyed crochet tops, toys for children. Come on everybody, can we just welcome all the panelists here? Come on with a great round of applause, come on. And left Bhubaneswar, where are the students? I still want to know. I'm really sorry, I'm sounding like an HOD, but I want all the Bhubaneswar students to be here. Now over to ma'am.
Thank you, Rimjim. First of all, I would like to start by thanking and congratulating the organizers for getting so many craft enthusiasts and craft experts from across the globe to create these meaningful craft conversations. So we've been touching upon a lot of different aspects of the creative economy since morning, and we'll be touching upon a lot more in the coming days. So we have all gathered, this eminent panel is here today to touch upon a very unique topic, which is like authentications. So all of us have been hearing about certification programs in different segments for different sectors that, you know, give quality assurance and all. But when we come to the creative economy, these are not certifications. These become authenticity programs, which actually work at building trust. So on one side, these programs, they become a hallmark of creative, passionate work which is happening at the grassroots level. And on the other hand, they also protect the interest of the producers as well as the consumers. And with the changing market scenario, the relevance of these authentication programs have been reiterated. Because mind you, these are not just certifications, these are programs which are there to support the creative economy to just zoom ahead. So we have Rupa ji with us. So Rupa ji, you represent two very strong authentication programs for the craft sector. So I would like to understand from you, how does this entire trust building thing works when we talk about authentication programs? So how does this actually works for the creative economy?
You know, that's a very tall question. So I think I'll just begin with talking about the consumers, okay? And from where I come, and I've got all this silver in my hair, so you'll know exactly what Payal was talking about. So, sorry, louder?
Louder. So.
Louder, okay. I'm going to keep this close to my mouth. And you know, there is a large community of people that really have traditionally valued our traditional crafts and textiles. And as much as they valued the skills, techniques, also the creativity, and I must add that also a concern for the artisan and the region that it comes from. So that community has typically been there, and I must remember both Popul Jaikar and Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay, not in that order, it should be the reverse order, Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay and Popul Jaikar, and also their, what should I say, their disciples, Rajiv Sethi, who had the Golden Eye exhibition, as well as Mapu Singh, Matan Singh, who did a wonderful job of putting together all the textiles of the country and organize them in a wonderful exhibition. So my point of this is that at least this community has grown with time. I think in the earlier session with Payal again, there was a talk about how the millennium is also getting sort of interested, or should I say it's been very organic for the various efforts which have been put in by designers, by small entrepreneurs and bigger entrepreneurs. And as Shushmita mentioned, that there is a global demand for handmade and authenticity and ethnicity as well. So when you have a growing consumer base like this, and we are not still touching on the other aspect where it's about social environment and economic justice, which is another authentication process. But I won't take more time here. It's just to say that in context to a growing number of consumers, why authenticity becomes important and why you will have many, many wannabes who want to jump on the bandwagon, and so the need for this grows.
So it becomes all the more relevant. Badriji, like you come from that space like where you're with the open network that has been created to provide a wider market access to the craft, to many enterprises, including craft enterprises. So looking at authentication from the lens of that open network.
Sorry, it's not audible.
I said looking at authentication from that lens of an open network, how does this trust building with the consumer work?
Sure. Thanks, Minu, for having me in the panel, and I'm very privileged to be part of this esteemed panel. Considering the diversity of the crowd, allow me to split my response into 3 different phases. First, especially for the students over here, we need to understand what is ONDC. Number 2, why authentication is even necessary, right? And third, how ONDC is trying to solve it. So let's talk about ONDC first. I'll give you a quick context. India as a country is a very rich, digitally active country, and it thoroughly believes in the phenomenon called digital public infra. Our country started with Aadhaar, which is a population scale digital public infra, which is dedicated for identification and biometrics. The second one is UPI, which is Unified Payment Interface, which is a population scale digital public infra dedicated for democratizing transfer of money. The third one is a data layer called DigiLocker. Now, ONDC is conceptualized to democratize e-commerce in our country. ONDC stands for Open Network for Digital Commerce. How ONDC functions is a tech protocol which has buying as a node, technology node, selling as a technology node. So buying node is called customer platform, which is today as we speak, Paytm, PhonePe, Snapdeal, Meesho, Kotak Mahindra Bank, they all have become customer platforms on ONDC network and bringing traffic. So in order to discover ONDC, I would request to open these applications. You don't find ONDC as an application. ONDC is like internet, and we call it Internet of E-commerce. So you don't go to internet actually. You end up on a browser, or you end up on an application, right? So you go to these buying platforms, or we call them customer platforms, access ONDC. The other side of the story is supply platform. So there are technology companies which are bringing sellers to the network, or which are bringing supply to the network. So my call out to all the artisan brothers and sisters here, or the sellers and businesses, in order to explore ONDC for your business, you need to integrate as a seller platform, or you need to join a seller platform as a seller. Now, coming to why authentication is required. Prior to that, why e-commerce is necessary. When I was talking to NIFT students, I figured out there are some students who are not keen to explore e-commerce. But that's fine. But let's understand why e-commerce is necessary. E-commerce is necessary for a customer to, or a business to access scale. A customer goes to e-commerce to go beyond the shopping of physical store limitations of limited inventory, timely opening and closing of the store, and going to the store and doing the shopping. Why businesses join e-commerce? They join e-commerce again to access scale. All business want millions of customer, right? So e-commerce gives them an access to these millions of customer. Now ONDC as a network of e-commerce players has many multiples of the marketplaces that you know. Like ONDC in the future is going to be a multiple X of Amazon. All these sellers in our country are going to join ONDC from the supply side. Different buying platforms or customer platforms like banks, payment gateways, they are going to be as customer platforms bringing traffic. Now what will happen? In this scenario, there will be so many products where it is very difficult to identify what is authentic, right? For that reason, why authenticity is required if I come to that point? A, building credibility and trust. For a customer, it is very important to have a trust on a platform to shop. That's the reason why some people buy on Myntra and don't buy on platform B, right? So you have a trust associated with the platform, and that platform has some credibility. If that platform has authenticity with respect to curation of catalog, then definitely it is a credible platform. Second is reputation of a seller and reputation of the platform. Now I'll take Rangasutra's case. If some seller sell products which are labeled as Rangasutra or claim to be Rangasutra products, but not genuine as Rangasutra produces, so then that entire reputation of Rangasutra as a business may be at stake, right? And the platform selling those products will definitely be compromised. So second point was reputation of the platform and seller. Third critical point is consumer protection. If somebody buys or finds non-authentic products on a platform, look at the kind of deception or cheating that is happening with the customer on the platform, right? And it comes under Consumer Protection Act, by the way. The fourth point I would say is customer satisfaction. The customer, if gets a proper value of their purchase or the amount that they pay, then definitely the satisfaction index is higher. And that helps the business in longer customer lifecycle value and more conversion. The fifth aspect of the business is it also helps in minimizing returns and opportunity loss. If somebody buys a fake product or gets a delivery of a fake product, we always tend to return it. Now that return comes at a cost for the seller and for the platform, right? So authentication will help the business to even minimize returns and definitely opportunity loss, right? The last but not the least is definitely we are here committed to support the creative economy, right? And creative economy is nothing but absolutely authentic, genuine output of skills. So let's commit that definitely authenticity is required and authentication as a factor is required. Quickly jump to the third aspect of how ONDC is doing it. As we know, ONDC is a decentralized infrastructure. We are creating a component called credentialing service function, which will be a technology component where entities, anybody who's capable of authenticating, or even I was talking to you on Craftmark, probably Craftmark will adopt to that platform or that functionality and definitely bring the authentication badge to the network. How it will happen? That credentialing service function will have a repository of, for example, Craftmark. I'll take one example to make it precise. And also have access to, of course, with Craftmark's permission, to the seller base. And while the seller platform passes that catalog on the network, and it will be visible on different buyer platforms, they will also pass on that credential along with. They will pass on that craft mark, they will pass on that identification number, that unique seller number, and if there is a validity associated with it, right? So that's the way it is going to function on Wendy's.
Thank you, Badri. Actually, you also brought forward a very important point that there is a lot of misrepresentation happening in the creative economy. And also, these authentication systems then give you that authenticity or establish your authenticity to protect the interests of the producers also. So, Anurag, you are a craft entrepreneur, and very early in your journey, you actually went in for an authentication program. So, you've taken a craft mark recently. So, we would like to know from you that, how has this authentication helped you to protect the interests of your producers, and and has it actually helped build better relationships, trust building? Because we are talking about both ends of the supply chain, about the producers also and about the consumers also. So this is what we would like to know from you.
Sure. Minu, thanks. And Badri, there was a lot of detailed information that you gave us. But the other aspect of...
You'll have to...
Is this better? So the other aspect of it is when we get the craft mark, and when is it that we need a craft mark certification. Monami Foundation has craft mark for crochet, craft, and Munj. And the time that we thought that it was important to get the craft mark authentication was when we were ready with the product to be launched in the market. And when we reached a certain capacity with the producers, and then we said we can reach the market, that's when we said we need a authentication, a certificate that will say that this is handmade. Which other, agency does that for you? Does anybody, say that this is handmade for sure and certified? So when you go to Craftmark and you say that, you want to get certified, what is the process? The representatives who come and ask the very necessary questions of what are you doing, how you are going about it, what is the process being followed. So the entire what, why, where, how is being mapped very carefully by Craftmark. So this is something that as a very small not-for-profit organization, when somebody comes and asks you and then authenticates and gives you that craft mark and says, you're following the processes and you're doing a great job. So that itself is a great, when you get the craft mark and you say, the process that are being followed are authentic, there's fair wages being given to the makers, and when it reaches the market, there was a time when there were only craft bazaars that you could take a produce. No longer, with ONDC and so many other digital platforms that are available. When a product reaches a consumer, it can be through so many different channels. And when that product is reaching, there needs to be that certification, that authentication that says how the particular product has been crafted and why you're paying the amount that you're paying. So there are multiple factors that come into play and which need to be, for a consumer, they need to know why, how a particular product is being made, where is it being done, or for the people who are actually making it, the producers. When somebody came in from Craftmark, they were asking all the makers, what are you doing? Kitna time lagta hai aapko ye banane mein? So when they're asking these questions, the producers, the makers, the women artisans are saying, why are they asking? Who are they? So then you authenticate. You say, this is the reason that you're answerable to these questions, because it's your product that is reaching the market. So there are these multiple factors that come into, should be talked about a lot more, because that is what authentication really means. And you know, taking the product is a very simple process of a buyer and seller, or maybe not. You know, so I think that is.
So the entire process also started, gave you that opportunity to have those conversations with your producers where they also understood in details and felt a part of the entire larger thing. And secondly, like these are what these authentication programs are for the craft sector, because they also protect the craft identities. And those craft standardization is happening. And also a very important factor is that the interests of the producers are being protected, because there is a lot of verification happening on ethical practices that are being followed.
Absolutely.
So this collective identity that is being given through these certifications, be it handloom mark or silk mark or fair trade or craft mark. So how has Rupaji, this collective identity helped these craft-based enterprises to grow in the markets, or how has it strengthened their market positioning?
You know, I'll go back to the market. See, the need for authentication, and I'll again clarify, which Meenu has already done, there is no certification. Certification implies a third-party certification. But most of these marks, like Craft Mark and the World Fair Trade Organizations, the Guaranteed Status Mark, now those are marks which are monitored, have robust monitoring systems. Okay, that out of the way. If there wasn't a demand, why would there be a need for authentication? The need for authentication really comes because there is a growing number of consumers, the ones who are craft lovers, who want handmade and all that I talked about, you know, when we started the session, and also now a growing concern with, income disparities, with the climate change and the implication of exploitation of natural resources by big businesses, and then the behavior of big brands, the wastage that comes in. So because of these voices which are being raised by consumers, so there is a need to say that, okay, these are the real players, guys, and these are the others who either there is greenwashing, social washing, or tokenism. Now I'm moving on to other, the craft aspect, artisans, handmade, low carbon impact, and how it addresses all these areas of concern, which now the consumers know they have the power. They have the power, and this community is growing. This breed is growing of conscious consumers. Unfortunately, because of the low capability of people to put out these authentication labels enough, then many are able to get away with, telling us, the shopkeepers you go to, they'll tell you this is quota when you know it's not quota, but another person will buy it thinking it's a quota sari, and so on and so forth. And then even fair trade, because fair trade has become popular. Everybody you see, every second small business with, I'm not saying the intent is there. The intent is there, they're probably trying to be as fair as they can be, but to call yourself a fair trade organization, or to say that the material you're using, the processes, and even the social considerations are all intact, is possibly the only one we have in the country at this point in time is the craft mark. Of course, we have a handloom mark, which the government has introduced, and you have a silk mark. But are they backed by monitoring machinery, which can actually say that, okay, this particular fabric was originally, or this sari was handloom, and now it hasn't moved on to power loom, or anything else. Or this is actually hand block printed, but is it printed, if it's a Sanganer print, is it actually benefiting the artisans of Sanganer? So I think all these questions, when they come up, then you need an authentication. But more than having the mark, I think it's so important to put it out there, to be able to have the deep pockets. I think you talked about, you have deeper pockets. So I think if you have more like this, that people are there, and that which is an alternative to Amazon. Because what Amazon does is tokenism in its worst form. Dare I say it, I hope there are not enough people there are not too many lovers of Amazon here. But really they do. And I know from other people's experience, I must say Sasha, Sadhana, etc., we've all sort of steered clear of that. And we know that the way the prices are pushed down and all the sort of things which happen. So I really do feel that for a customer, you're doing right by the customer. It's not only as Meenu mentioned, it's not only the artisans, and we don't have to get so patronizing about the artisans either. I think because of the value they brought to our own lives and the emotional quotient, as somebody mentioned, and we had some talk on that part of it in the first session. So I think it's for us, like if you talk about India or any other country, like we had Perth being the crafts, I forget what they call it now, but craft city, arts and craft city. So obviously there is a whole identity issue here as well, and we've heard a lot about that we take that I'm wearing a sari and I'll wear a sari to a global conference, and all of us do, because that's our identity. And if it's handloom, then we have an opportunity to talk about it. Where does this come from? Where is it printed, etc. So I also feel that there's a great future ahead for us. I think, and the young people, I have met so many, and I've seen how they are so eager to know, but are we reaching out to them enough? And I must say that designers have played a great part, and I'm a I can, within quotes, an admirer, and I appreciate that very much, the kind of people coming out of our institutes in India and also globally, where there has been a real contribution, because I would say that when you step out, then it's a marrying of the traditional skills, techniques, the master craftsmen, and more of their community with the designers. And then you bring out a truly authentic product. But what I must say, Meenu, and here I have to say that again, and we have other members of the board in the audience. There is Shushmita Ghosh right out there, that we have to really make Craftmark much more visible. And there you are. I think you owe it one. And so let's see that, that we are doing a great, I know personally, if I can just walk into a shop and I say, okay, whatever I've bought is authentic, because I don't know everything. I might claim to know everything. People might think I know everything, but I certainly do not. So I think that is the thing that it's a gift to the artisan, and it's a gift to ourselves, what we have, and authentication, Zindabad.
Thank you, Rupaji. Yes, I agree with you. There's a lot that needs to be done by all the people who are trying to authenticate, the people who are working working tirelessly in the creative economy. And just on those lines itself, like I said, that these authentications are not merely certificates, these are programs. So Anurag, by being a part of one of such programs, you've also become a part of the networks, because most of these, they act as networks where like-minded people get together and they get a collective identity. So have you felt that this particular, like being a part of a network, authenticated network, has given you that identity where you are positioning yourself more strongly in the markets, or you are being able to do more than what you were doing earlier?
Sure. I think it's, when you're part of a much larger organization and that has already authenticated so many other groups that are working, so it becomes a name that a lot of people identify with. And when, somebody comes, a buyer comes and asks you, is there some kind of a certification? So there are certifications for thread, for the raw material that you get your testing done. But then when you say that there's a certification that says that it's handmade, and this is the place that it's being made, and the cluster, that itself is a step which sort of says, all right, this is part of a network, and it has, this particular product range has been certified. So that itself is, a definite, big thumbs up. So.
My last question would be to you, Mr. Badri, that being an open network and working with a lot of different sectors, so we also know that ONDC is laying a lot of stress on authentication. So keeping that authentication center stage, what are your plans for the handicraft sector going ahead?
I know. So, okay, now we are at a situation at ONDC where we can't say no to any business, right? This is an open economy, by the way, right? It's democracy. And our vision is to democratize e-commerce in our country. And we are saying that we are committed even to take it to the globe. Now the dilemma is between whether, I'll come to craft, dilemma is between whether you buy Adidas or Adibas. You buy Reebok or Reebok. You buy a Fab India or the last A is just somewhere. So now the thing is, we are saying in an open economy, everybody has a right to do business, right? Yes. So we are saying credibility comes into picture here. Authenticity adds a layer of choice. Customer should read, hey, it is a ikat weave on silk fabric, and it's a ikat print on a polyester, which looks absolutely similar. Now that ikat has a ikat craft mark, and the polyester doesn't have a craft mark. Now it's a choice of a customer to pay 5,500 for the sari and 500 for that printed polyester. It's their choice, right? Open network supports that, hey, how we can ensure that a factor of authentication from credible sources be factored into the entire diaphragm of commerce, right? And let customer choose what to buy. And there shouldn't be any dispute. There shouldn't be any business loss for anyone. Yeah, that's my submission. Thanks.
Thank you, yes. One of our esteemed panelists, Shiva Devareddy, who is also the founder of GoCoop, he couldn't join us today, but he has sent us a video recorded message, and we would definitely want to know his perspective on this entire authentication landscape as well. So request the organizers to play the video.
Hi, a very good afternoon everyone. Firstly, I'm sorry I'm not able to join the International Craft Summit at Jajpur this year in person. There was a very important commitment and also some challenge with logistics, and I could not join all of you in person. Sorry about that. So it's a very important topic, and I definitely wanted to share my perspective on craft authentication and the relevance, especially in terms of marketing. I completely agree that there is a growing trend that we are seeing for what we call as conscious consumers. Consumers who are concerned about the impact a product is making both on people and the environment. At the same time, we also see a growing awareness in terms of craft also in consumers. So there's a lot more understanding and awareness both of crafts and weaves that we see both in consumers in India as well as outside India. But as also acknowledged by many, there is a increasing misrepresentation also happening. A lot of machine-made products are being sold as craft. In fact, being sold as GI crafts very blatantly under brands and under platforms. And consumers, due to their lack of awareness, are ending up buying these products more often than what it used to be before. So we see that craft authentication programs can play an important role in providing that confidence to the consumer, especially when you're buying a weave, like for example you're buying something like a Banarasi or a Pochampalli or a Kanchi fabric or a sari. It's good to know that these are authentic products, right? I mean, this is actually pure silk for that matter. And this kind of confidence can be given by authentication programs like Craft Mark, like Silk Mark, Handloom Mark, and these are also programs institutioned by the respective government bodies. And I think it also can create, we can take it even one step further by creating awareness about the social impact that these products are making. And that can in itself create a good market for our weaves and craft. What is also important is that these craft programs are marketed properly. There is increasing awareness of these craft authentication programs with the consumers. Now that's when we will actually start realizing the benefit of these programs. The more awareness we create, more consumers will understand the need for authentication and will make the right purchases, right? Will make a very informed decision when they're buying these products. At the same time, it's also important for these authentication programs to also look at the technology adoption. For example, there are now QR codes which are being used by some of these authentication programs. There are also interesting initiatives like Kosha, for example. It's an authentication program which is using IoT and AI for authenticating the craft products that, especially in handloom weaves that we see today. It's very important for craft-based enterprises or brands to make authentication an important part of their strategy. It's something which will not only help them in their marketing, but can also to a great extent validate the kind of impact or the actual the production, handmade production that these brands, craft-based brands are actually doing in the clusters. So it's important for a craft enterprises to not only look at this as a marketing strategy, but to make it as an integral part of their business, to make sure that they're providing authentic products to consumers and buyers that they're working with. Thank you again to all the panelists and International Craft Summit for giving me this opportunity. I wish you all the very best, and thank you once again.
So just to wrap up the session, I would request all the panelists to share their views in just one sentence on what do you think is the importance for authentications for the creative economy? Just in one sentence. What do these authentications actually mean for the creative economy? What do these authentication programs what is the importance of these authentication programs for the creative economy? What do they actually mean?
They're like a pillar of trust.
It's living for millions, and it's absolutely doable.
Giving true value to the artisan and to the consumer.
Thank you so much. And with that, we would like to reiterate that authentication programs are not just there to protect the interest of the producers, but also in this era where there's a lot of misrepresentation happening, they also protect the consumer's right to make the right choice and identify the authentic production that is happening in the rural areas of our country. So thank you so much. With that, I would like to thank everybody, all our beautiful audience and participants who've been engaged till the end. and my eminent panelists for taking out the time, and of course, a big thanks to the organizers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Meenu ma'am. Well, what an insightful session that was. Come on, can we have a round of applause? Come on, everybody. This is the time of the evening, and I think you must be feeling energetic, right? Well, now it's time to felicitate.
Hello. You forgot, we are also having to thank Meenu. We forgot to thank Meenu. Thank you, Meenu.
Thank you, Meenu. God bless.
Okay, now it's
Thanks,
time to
Meenu.
felicitate our wonderful panelists here on the stage. So I request Meenu ma'am to please do the honors. So first, we'd like to felicitate Rupa Mehta ma'am, CEO, Sasha President, IACA President, WFTO. Thank you so much, ma'am, on the behalf of International Craft Summit Jajpur for coming here. Next, we'd love to felicitate Mr. Badrinath Mishra. Can we have a round of applause? Come on, everybody, for Mr. Badrinath. To Mr. Anurag Rana, founder, trustee, Mon Emmy Foundation. Can we have a round of applause for her? And everybody, can we have a round of applause for Meenu Chopra, Executive Director, AIACA. Thank you so much, ma'am, and all the wonderful panelists. I request all of you to please be here for the group picture. Everybody, all together for the group picture. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we came to an end of this wonderful summit, day one. Tomorrow, we are gearing up with we have a lot of content to talk about, a lot of topics to cover, a lot of things to discuss. And tomorrow, we'll be also having one of the Bollywood stars. We'll be welcoming tomorrow Radhika Apte. So I hope you all will be excited. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And don't forget that from 7 p.m. onwards, we are starting out with the cultural night for all of you. Come on, everybody. Are you ready for the entertainment? I can't hear you. Are you ready for the entertainment? Well, we are ready to serve you with a platter of entertainment tonight. With these 3 days, we are trying to expand art, culture, and entertainment, all of them together. Well, thank you so much for being such a patient and nice audience. Well, we are set to welcome all of you for the summit tomorrow. But the cultural evening will be here today at 7 o'clock. Right? So please go and enjoy. Thank you so much. The session opens for high tea. Thank you so much. With this is host Anchor Rimchim signing off for the day.